get into your physical. It's time to talk some piss and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see a laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is the Media House Stream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! Who's the You can never have enough physical media. I like it a lot.
So I fiddled with it a little bit this week, and hopefully
Fiddled with it.
fiddled with it till it got good. But hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene. Glad to have you are sharing your evening, night, day, morning, whatever time it is where you live with us. And with me, as always, is my physical media partners. Platonic physical media partners, the Rook and Tom. I don't know. I
always thought we were more.
Look,
what is this about?
There's a lot of people. No,
I'm not out of love. I'm so lost without you.
Platonic sounds like an energy drink or something.
It does.
It does.
I have Platonic today, full of electrolytes. It's what plants
I
crave.
could see that being hot in the 50s or something. Like, get your new Platonica or something.
I could have went Kevin Smith and said my heterosexual life mate. So
too many words.
Yeah. So, but dude, thank you guys for being here as always. How you guys doing this evening, night, whatever?
Doing all right. We got a couple of good release news thingies, and yeah.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing some certain emojis if there's members in the chat tonight. So, but let's go start with that real quick. Well, speaking of the chat, hail Random Brad, welcome, glad to have you with us as always. Corleone Rogue, hello, salute to you, deleted scenes, style section. Speaking of which, says hail all, and as always, F Shelf Factory and their grudge against Tom. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes,
and it continues. Yeah,
and it does, that is insane. Seriously. Hell Brian Barth, glad to have you with us this evening. Hollowfield, glad to have you here as well, my good friend. And Double Fett, howdy to you. What's up, Cowabunga, dude? And Tyrell72, hell to you as well. Live long and prosper. What's up, Stephen Luther? Glad to have you with us this evening. Movie Homicide, hello, my friend. How are you doing this evening? And then Gojilla, hell to you. Rick Johnson, greetings to you. Did I say Double Fett? Did I say Double? Yeah, Double Fett. Lots of that. And what's up, Tim Hayes? Hell to you. There's some of the emojis that we're talking about right there. Thank you, Deleted Scenes, the master in the audience there tonight. I forgot what to say. Master mod. That's what I meant to say. Yes. Brian Barth says he's got The Right Stuff and Pee-wee's Big Adventure on DVD. So that's awesome. Nice. But with that, thank you guys, everybody out in the chat, everybody watching at home. So you guys, let's go ahead and jump into these news, because we did get a lot of news this week, actually.
Yeah, you have to catch me if I forgot anything here, but we got Shout Factory news. The Dirty Bastards are doing a huge box set thingy for UHF.
Yep.
Along with a steelbook of the Weird Al story movie thingy that I didn't like. It will be out the same day as that. Dark Angels coming to 4K. That's the Dolph Lundgren film.
I Come in Peace.
I Come in Peace. Where did I didn't see that one.
The Dark Angels is I Come in Peace.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. Phantoms, Ali G, House of Gucci, and Red Sonja. Although I have the Red Sonja import already in 4K.
Yes.
But fuck Shout Factory, and they're also getting The Boy and the Hair on for those who care.
I have a Shout Factory selection tonight. I didn't even realize it.
What?
It's an ancient one from like.
He had a Shout Factory tonight that he didn't even realize.
Oh Lord, no. And then we got Captain Phillips. This is supposed to be coming in 4K. The Purple Rain debacle all week. It's been going down. Although now it's showing up for pre-orders in certain spots. So I'm hoping that the good Steelbook is available everywhere and not just Zabi. And I believe it will be. And then we got Twister also coming.
Which, can I say real quick, Tom? We broke that news months ago. Me, you, and Bill Hunt. About 5 months ago, we broke that news before anybody else.
That's true. And speaking of Warner Brothers,
sequel to Twisters, man, or to Twister.
Yeah, we saw that. That's
another very weird attempt at a sequel for something that's like, why does that need a sequel?
It's more of a reboot, probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then we got Batman, the complete collection, which is the 71 animated series with Adam West. And La La Land is also rumored for 4K.
La La Land.
I guess it's coming back to IMAX. Sorry, never mind. That's something else.
No.
But it'll probably be. I think it already has a 4K, which is why I was like, oh, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what else did we have? I'm sure I missed a few things.
I'm trying to look. Did you get the George Romero film Bruiser? Is coming to 4K from Indicator.
Yep, and also the Million Eye Samurai.
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes and Deadly Necklace coming from Blue Underground and Severin. See what else we got here. Bullet to Beijing. Otherwise, I think we got all these already.
Yeah, I think that's about.
Did we get Anchorman? I think we mentioned that last week.
I think we may have mentioned it last week. Yeah, it's getting a 4K steelbook and all that.
I don't know about a steelbook, but yeah, I saw that
I thought I saw it was getting a steelbook. Maybe it was just the cover of the slip cover.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, the regular version comes out for the 20th anniversary. Later this year on July 2nd. There you
go. Did you get the imprint titles? I think that they might be region free.
What are they?
You get, let's see, Film Focus, Harvey Keitel, Bad Lieutenant, The Young Americans, Dangerous Game, Imaginary Crimes, Clockers, and Holy Smoke. It's Harvey Keitel collection. Then you get Smoke, Blue in the Face, Men of Respect, 8mm, and The Juror on separate Blu-rays from Imprint Via Vision. Those are typically region free. So.
Oh yeah, I remember them announcing that now, and I believe we already got Narrow Margin, Blown Away, and Turbulence from Kino.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't think we've gotten anything of any significance there. Yeah, I think we're caught up.
All right.
I'm sure we missed something. I'm sure we'll be like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. But
and there was that one YouTuber who did drop some news, but I didn't get a chance to watch his video yet, so I didn't know if
which one? Mid-level or
not? Is it mid-level? Yeah, I think it was. No.
I'm trying to think of all the physical media. There's mid-level. There's serial.
It's in search of
physical media.
Yeah. And he had some, because he's been getting some insider scoops lately, and I think one of his was Tron.
Mm-hmm.
Tron Legacy. And that doesn't surprise me because Tron 3 is coming out. And also Minority Report, which I think we've heard of before. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And North by Northwest also. I think we mentioned that the last week. Maybe
yes.
Not. I think Bill Hunt dropped that one last week. So now I think we're all caught up.
Yeah, I think that's... And the North by Northwest is Paramount Presents or something, right? Isn't that what it is?
Actually, I think it's a Warner title.
Oh, Warner title. I keep thinking it's one of those for some reason.
It's one of the few non-Universal Hitchcock movies. That's all I know. As far as his big ones. That's why it's not in the Universal Hitchcock box sets.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, they hadn't got to it yet. And then I think I looked it up, and I think Warner owns it.
That
it's
makes
either Paramount or Warner, yeah.
It makes sense why that's not all in there. But there you guys go. There's all the upcoming Blu-rays, 4Ks, and all that. If you guys are interested in it, I know Shout Factory has got 3 ones I really, really want, but they've been screwing over my good friend Tom here, and that's not cool. So,
don't stop yourself. Get what you want to get. I actually have a friend of mine who's helped me out with RoboCop, and I got other means that I've used. I don't even want to say what means because this is how vindictive they are. Like, I don't want them to even know what I did now this time to get it, the UHF one. So other than that, if it's not one of their exclusives, I'll get it from somewhere else.
Exactly.
Just to say fuck them. I mean, not that they're really being fucked. They're still getting my money, but I don't understand this because their reasoning for it, for those who don't know what happened, is I gave them some bad reviews for some of their bullshit. And I called them out on something they did and pulled on me, and they didn't like that. And their reasoning for supposedly blocking me from their website is that I was abusive towards them. Now I asked for proof.
You're abusive towards them.
I was abusive towards them. Now I asked for proof, which the only thing they could provide is when I told them to choke on the extra money that they got out of me. That was their supposed abusive language towards them. When I have seen if you go and look at all their other reviews where on this, I can't remember the name of the place that I left the review. But other people have left similar reviews on there and they respond back to them. Only the negative ones though. And they have actually posted what other people have said on there. And what I said ain't nothing close to that shit. Now, honestly, I don't think any of these people should be blocked from their website. I think it's the most pettiest, stupidest shit in the world. If somebody still wants to give you money, good. What the fuck is your problem?
I mean, exactly. I think you could have been far worse than I think.
Especially if you're a piece of shit like Shout Factory. You should be happy because guess what, guys? We're like these guys here. We had problems with them before this. They were getting pricey, greedy, and their quality control is out the window. There's other issues people have had in the past with greasy discs and other things from them. Yeah, greasy Shout Factory is. Dang. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is a problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg. I know you're not a fan of this either.
Yeah. There was something about where the factory they came from. The discs were coming all greasy and the cases were coming all greasy, and it was like getting everywhere.
Black and greasy
it's like
shit.
This black nasty.
I'm just like imagining some fat dude just wiping grease on the discs as he puts it into
probably from the machines. Well, nobody touches the grease
on the machine, or or the plastic breaking down in the cases or something, and it just turns into like a liquid, or
the hydraulics when they pick up the disc and press it into the case.
Yeah, well, so then
those out. Wow.
Well, even I have enough issues where I pretty much wipe down every single disc I get now before I put it in, just because.
And I haven't.
Well, it never fails. It always freezes about midway through somewhere.
Does it ever affect your player if it's greasy?
Well, the greasy shit, I don't know. I mean, I just wipe every one of them down now just out of habit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I was just like, I don't know if that was a concern.
But because I had an issue already, like I said, you get a little speck of dust on any of them, dirt, anything, they're going to freeze because 4K has such a small area it has to read compared to Blu-ray or DVD that would normally just correct itself for that problem. So when you get to that, like it never failed. Like every 4K movie I'd put in, no matter where it came from, I would always get about 2/3 of the way or halfway through, and I'd end up getting stuck on something. Mm-hmm. Pull it out, wipe it off, put it back in, worked just fine. So, like I said, from there on out, after I kept having that issue plus the greasy disc issue, I make sure I wipe the discs now, and then I don't have any issues. So,
yeah, and that's the thing. And then Shout Factory puts out great movies that we love, but they just it's like they've gotten too big for their britches and stuff, and it's just like.
Well, we've also heard some of the people that.
Yeah, some of the people that
there and stuff like that too. That guy's a lot.
Yep, they left. The people that helped found Scream Factory and all that left and all that. So it's not the same people running the company anymore. I guess that's what happens when you get too big. But with all that being said, Rook, let's start with you. What do you got for us for your first pick of the night?
All right. Well, first of all, this will be my last physical media show for the month of May. I'll be back in June, and I might have a little cameo.
We're sending him to school.
So, they're sending me to watch movies for once. That's my goal. Now I'm going to Ohio on a trip, seeing my dad, and I'll see Justin Proper as well in Ohio. So that'll be a fun little adventure there. But Yeah, I might watch Gremlins 2 or something and like record a video response, with my thoughts on that while I'm gone. But anyway, I watched Arthur's Quest. I think I saw this pop up on Tubi TV.
Where the hell do you find stuff like this?
I just said Tubi. Like I already just answered you with that one. Yeah, Tubi. I was like, I forget.
For some reason, this one looks familiar, like some TV movie.
Yeah, it comes off like that because it's not like a super shit type of film. Like, last week I had Battle Droid. This is like a much better type of quality that looks like something that was, low budget, but has an okay premise. The premise is basically, in the medieval times or whenever King Arthur is around, Merlin has an apprentice called Morgana, and she's evil. And this guy thought, or it wasn't King Arthur himself, but it was the father of King Arthur, believed that he was supposed to vanquish her, but he can't. But it's his son. Merlin takes his son into the future to hide him, and then it comes back like 2 days later. But the kid is 16 years old when he comes back to get Arthur, so he's like grown in the modern day. And there's a lot of this is the kind of thing I kind of want to like ask filmmakers about when they are making something, because like he's playing a video game where he's like, trying to do decisions to conquer like using a sword or a shield or something. It has to relate to King Arthur stuff, essentially. Almost everything he does relates in some way to him being King Arthur without him knowing he's King Arthur. And I think that's kind of like too on the nose for a choice that they go with. But the movie's okay. If you're gonna watch it at all seriously, it's to see the chick that plays Morgana. Like, damn, what was her name here? Got the IMDb up here. Catherine Oxenberg or something. She does a great little like, hello, King Arthur. I am the evil one who is going to be here to vanquish you. Like that kind of a thing. And she's like, oh, man, she's like, all right, yeah, she's a babe, and she's the villainess. All right, the mom, the actress that played her.
When was this movie made? When was this movie made?
It was like mid or late 90s, I think. Okay. I'll see the year on here, but it was like, I think it was in the 90s when it was made.
It looks like a Fox Family Channel movie or something.
Something like that. It very much comes off like a TV movie, and it feels like that too. It's not super high budget. Like when they show a couple of soldiers clashing in the beginning, it's like very LARPy. Like, it's just like, oh, you're not, gotcha. You've got 10 guys you could get for a battle. You've got like 2 henchmen that follow her. You don't have any more than that. The humor in the film is fine. It's hard to say if you guys would like this kind of a film or not. I know that some people in the audience might like this kind of film, but again, it's one that, I recommend with caution, kind of a one. Like, I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's bad though. It's one of those low budget. It's doing okay for its budget, and it's got a nice concept. But it's also, if anything, you might laugh at how some of the stuff they try to do, and it's like, oh god, what are you doing? They try to have Merlin like hit on King Arthur's like mom that found him, but there's also just like a lot of weird scenes that we'd all probably laugh at, and that's why I think it would be an enjoyable watch. If you're watching it with friends, there's probably a lot of shit to get a laugh at with this one.
Well, according to Corleone Rogue here, the woman you just mentioned is married to Castor Van Dien, and their daughter is hot. So
okay, well, sweet. Well, all right. Well, then I guess there's more reason to check that out. But her performance is awesome. She becomes the evil principal for some reason, and she's Morgana Blackheart is her name. Of course, gotta be edgy name with it, and it's just. It's okay. It was an okay watch. It's like one of those. It's basically a Tubi movie, is how I see it. So I think it was recommended for me there, and I tend to like a lot of the recommendations that it recommends for me, even if it's obviously a lower quality. But it's one of those kind of ones. So,
are you serious? Hold on. I was just looking up their daughter. Said their daughter
chips on the bed. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
What else we got there?
That's what
those spicy nacho or just regular nacho?
It's just regular nacho.
Good man.
Regular nacho.
Their daughter is the chick from Stranger Things this past season who was killed first, who was the one that was on Twitch talking about how she was offered to do a threesome with a producer in a movie. That's who their daughter is. The girl that played Chrissy.
I never watched Stranger
Ah.
Things, so no idea.
No, I
idea.
remember her because I did watch it, but I saw her. She had a big thing where she was on Twitch
I
saying
watched
that
the
she didn't.
first season, but
Yeah, but she was on Twitch saying that she didn't really want to do acting anymore because there was a producer had tried to talk her into a threesome, and she was like, "No, I'm not doing that." But anyways, go ahead. Sorry,
name some names. I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah, they say that, but they won't name any names, will
Mm-hmm.
they? Never. Yeah, this is what Hollywood's like, but I'm not going to say who because I'm really going to go back into acting.
They just want to pretend there's some sort of fucking victim usually.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. No, I for some reason I think I've seen that movie, Rook.
You might have. I could see it
familiar.
I could see it being kind of forgettable, but if you started to watch it, you'd probably recognize it immediately because it feels unique enough for what it is, you know. Yeah,
I've never seen it, so I can't.
The disc that I get, there's no special features or anything with it. It's pretty simple little movie. I guess so. There's nothing. It's the kind of movie that, like, if they were to do like a reboot of this movie, they could probably make a better version of the movie. Is kind of the thing because like he goes through an arc and a journey, but it's what I'd call, like, you know, a rookie's attempt at making a journey. Like, you know, you're not. It could be. We've seen this type of thing done.
No wonder
a lot
you like it
these days.
The rookie's journey.
But yeah, like there's better ways they could do it. There's so many things to critique in it, but a lot of it gives it that charm, I guess. Of that
this was a TV movie in 1999.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm not sure.
Might have been a movie I had at the video store or something. That could have been too. Yeah, that was right around the time.
Were any of the actors or actresses sound familiar? It's got
not
Eric
really. Just the image
Olsen
on the front did, and the name. But yeah,
yeah. Clint Howard,
Olsen,
Clint Howard,
yeah, Clint Howard, Catherine Oxenberg, Alexandra Paul, Zach Gilligan.
If Zach Galligan's in it, that
Zach Galligan's
the reason why I watched it.
Yeah, he's from Gremlins.
Yeah, he plays as King Arthur's father.
That's very good plausibility.
Yeah. Huh.
Because back then I actually used to watch movies just because certain actors were in them, you know.
Yeah.
Not because they were all about superheroes.
Exactly.
At least it was on Netflix, and I brought the physical DVD, sir.
There you go. For once. Oh, that's who the Catherine Oxenberg also is. She was also involved in the Nexium cult. My God, that
I believe all the shit she says. Yeah,
that makes watching it even better.
Yeah, she's complaining about a producer who's trying to get her in a three-way, yet she was part of a fucking sex cult.
Dude, that if you guys watch it now, knowing that'll probably make watching her scenes even better because she's like very just like, you know, I'm trying to get you under my control and evil, join me, you know, that kind of.
That's the sex cult that chick from Smallville was in.
Oh wow. Yeah, it was. What's her name? Yeah, that woman had quite a storied time, didn't she?
Interesting. I like how the chat here can like research things, or they already know some of these things already. Like while we talk about stuff, like, oh, there you go, sweet.
Hey, I mean,
random facts in the chat.
They have just as much knowledge, if not more, than us. So,
well, I'm curious if half the time they know it or they look it up while we talk. Like, who knows? I don't know. Chat and do you guys look at this stuff up while we talk most of the time, or you just know from? Like,
I would say it's probably a mix. I would say it's probably a mix of both. But all right, Rook. I've never seen it. Tom clearly is maybe somewhat familiar with it.
Out of all about it seems familiar, yeah.
Out of all the ones I recommend, it's like a mid-tier one that I recommend for you. It's not, it wouldn't be, I'd recommend other things first that you haven't seen.
I think we wasted way too much time on it.
yeah, we're good to go. I feel like we got all the mileage out of it. There's really not much to talk about it with it.
Since Tom's got a little more, we'll do Tom, me, then go back to Tom.
All right.
And then, so what do you got?
These are ones I technically brought on last week, so we'll just talk about them now since I finished them off. How the hell I got hair all over them? I do not know. Okay, we got Ocean's 13, 12, and 11. And I did talk a little bit about Ocean's 11, at least the scan last week. And both Ocean's 1 and 13 look pretty good. Ocean's 12 for some reason has a bunch of dot crawling in a few scenes. I don't understand why. So, could be that they're all up converts. That's the other thing too, I think. Or no, wait, I think. No, I can't. I don't think the first one is, but I think 2 and 3 might be up converts from digital DIs. I'd have to look up again, but I think the Blu-ray.com says they're all 4K. But,
Right.
yeah, for some reason, just part 2 at a few moments, and it's not even through the whole movie. It's just a few moments
Wonder
here
why.
and there. Although maybe it's also because 2 is probably my least favorite of the group.
It knew you didn't like 2 as much. So,
well, it's the one that sticks out because it's the only one that doesn't take place in Vegas. It has a little bit slightly different tone than the first film. I hate the Julia Roberts bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the frog guy, the other bad guy that they're the whole concept of part 2. I don't like. The initial setup is good, but then the actual play out I don't like. Because I don't think Rookie's seen any of these films, but
No, I doubt he has.
Correctamundo.
Okay, so like the first movie is a really good film, actually. It's a remake, and I actually meant to have the original film this week, but it didn't get in the mail in time. Because I have seen it, but it's been like 20 years since I've seen it. Because that came out, they rebrought it out again when the first movie came out back when. But anyway, the first film's really, really good, actually, as far as remakes go. It's Steven Soderbergh, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah,
Did he do all 3?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole plot is similar to the original film, only it kind of takes the concept and runs with its own thing. Yeah, it has some of the same names and all that kind of stuff. But you know, Dan, I wouldn't fault somebody for saying that. And it's been so long since I've seen the original, I can't compare it tonight. But I do remember enjoying the first film so much that I went back and found the original. But the basic outline is a master thief gets a scheme to rob not 1 but 3 casinos in one go, because they all share a vault. And so he gets a group together of 10 of his friends. That's why it's called Ocean's 11. Or is it 11 friends? One or the other. Anyway,
well, he's the 11th, so 10.
That's what I thought. I'm trying to do the math here in my head. But you got like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and quite a few other names involved in this. That's kind of the whole gimmick. Don Cheadle.
Yeah. I was trying
Andy
to remember
Garcia is the bad guy. Bernie Mac is probably his standout here in these 3 films, especially like some of the stuff he does. But no, it's a really, really fun idea, and it's them coming up with the whole concept of how they do it and how they're going to get away with it. And they set it up that nobody's ever been able to rob a casino before, and stuff like that. And Elliot Gould's great too in it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the old school, the old school kind of Las Vegas guy, and that's kind of what the whole story is built on. Is that this guy who's like, pissed everybody off one way or another, so it's kind of like everybody's getting their little revenge on him by pulling off this gig. And then the second film is about this guy. At first, you think he wants his money back, and he gives them X amount of time to get his money back. So that itself, to me, was enough of a plot. Right. They have to come up with all these elaborate schemes to come up with X amount of money within X amount of time. But then the whole thing turns out to be this race with this French fucking bad guy who they still drag into the story for some reason for like the next film, I think, too. But I just didn't care for his character, and I thought his character was dumb. And he also got Catherine Zeta-Jones's character being shoved in here. And her story background is dumb and obvious. And that's why I didn't like 2. But then you get to 3, and 3 is back to form because Al Pacino is the bad guy in that one, and it's really good.
Yeah.
So like 1 and 3 are good, 2 not so much. But yeah, no, I enjoyed them. They're fun. There's a couple new. I think at least the first one it has 1 new featurette on it. But otherwise, then it carries all the same special features from the DVDs of the first film. Or that new featurette might even come from when they did the Blu-ray. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. It feels like it's newer than that, though. But I can recommend them. And you can get them in a trilogy, or a steelbook trilogy, or separate steelbooks for that matter. So
That's
They're
nice.
out
I like
there.
when they do that. I like when they do that. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen them, but it's some of the more better what's his name? George Clooney movies. 'Cause I've
Yes.
never been a huge George Clooney fan, but those are some of the better movies he's done. So that's what I
There's
remember.
even, you know what's funny is there's even this joke, I think it's in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
It's either in the second or the third one about him looking like he's 53. What's funny is he's only like in his 40s at that point.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's able to joke about it, because, and Rook probably don't even remember this because he was so young. Motherfucker was like sexiest man of the year, like what, 2-3 years in a row
Yeah,
in People
yeah.
magazine or some shit like that. So that was always kind of a running gag with him, was his looks and stuff like that.
Yeah. When
George
he was on
Clooney.
ER and everything.
And then Brad Pitt was as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, have you ever seen Ocean's 8? I've never
No,
seen
but I've heard it's not as bad as you think it
Okay.
would be. So I don't know. I'd have to check it out.
I've never seen it. I've just never interested me. Even the trailer, I was just like, nah, I'm
Well,
good.
it came out at the wrong time too. Like you're like an all-female Oceans movie.
Yay! After an
Especially when
all-female
that seems-
Ghostbuster.
Original.
What that
Yeah.
seems to be the main part of their sell is like it's like that, but with women. It's like, well, what else? Women. Okay.
And it's only loosely connected because I think Sandra Bullock's character is technically George Clooney's sister. That's the only thing I think that connects the two films.
That, yeah, I know they're supposed to be making another one. It's a prequel. With,
goody!
I believe what I read. I don't know if this is true, but I think it might be. But I know they are making a prequel, and it's about his parents, and it was. I don't know if this casting is real. I have to look it up because I don't want to be. So don't take this as serious just yet because I have to look it up. But I heard
it sounds like something they do.
Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are going to play his parents.
That sounds like something they do.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I did see it on one of the news sites, but I never read the article, so I don't know if that was full and accurate or not. But I do know they are actually making a prequel about his parents.
They'd probably stretch it to include Catherine Zeta-Jones' dad somehow in the story too.
Yeah, probably. So that
he would have been an active. He would have been an active at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. What is this? Spoiler! If that I was going to pop that up what Dan Blackroyd said. So if you want to look at that, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't pop that up for people who haven't seen it. About
why would they do such a thing?
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Like
it's stupid.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it's the second one where Julia Roberts plays herself, Corleone, and that's the one I dislike. Pretty sure it's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I think with all the Bruce Willis bit and shit in it.
Yeah.
It just drags on too. That's the other thing. It should only be like a 1 scene bit, and it drags on for like 3 scenes until they get busted or whatever. And it's like,
it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember.
Well, not only that, I just hate that joke or that kind of gimmick when they do that in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It to me is just so stupid. Unless it's in some meta way works out, which is a rarity. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And I did look this up. Yes, it does. It says George Clooney has given his approval to Margot from Variety, has given his approval for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling to play his parents in Ocean 11's prequel. So yes, it is accurate. It is true. So, yeah, there you go. So what do they go call it? Oceans 1+1? Is that what they're going to call it?
That's actually kind of clever.
That is actually not bad.
See, it would be worse if they came Oceans 5 and then Oceans 2 and then Oceans 4 and Oceans 1. It's like, God, what order do you want?
We made these jokes like 20 years ago, Rook.
Yeah, I know, well, of course. But I didn't, so now I did, and now it's on the record.
It's true. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're not breaking new ground here.
I didn't invent the wheel again. No.
All right, that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, but I do like
they're worth it. They're worth it, I guess.
I remember them being pretty decent, old school feeling type movies, and the better George Clooney movies I've seen. And I do agree with one of his best movies is From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah. I don't believe in fucking vampires, but I think we can all agree what we just saw here was fucking vampires.
Who were they? Drug addicts? Do drug addicts explode when sunlight hits them? Is that what he calls drug addicts? Or yeah, that's what he calls them.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that, and when's the 4K that coming?
I
That
know.
makes
I'm just
me,
kind of waiting.
yeah, that makes me wonder if Shell Factory was going to get that on 4K because
I don't know. That's a Paramount Miramax one now. Yeah.
yeah, but they did. But then again, the ones that Shout are releasing are the ones that this Dimension didn't really succeed with a lot of money with. So,
Yeah.
so that's true. But okay, I guess we'll go to me. And speaking of which, Shout Factory. We don't have to talk long about this because Tom has brought this on before, but we can if we want. The Exorcist 3 on 4K, starring George C. Scott and Brad Dourif. So, yeah, there you go.
Best of the sequels.
Yes, I forgot how good of a movie this is. This is actually a really good movie. I had to watch it again because I'm actually going to be on a stream talking about this tomorrow night, and so I wanted to be refreshed. And I've had the 4K for a while, so I finally watched it, and it's so good. I'm just like I forgot just how good it was, and I love like Brad Dourif when he's doing that one scene, and he's like, "My goodness gracious me, was I raving?" I just love that. He should have won an Oscar right for that part when he's just giving this monologue and he's just going, and it's just like it's amazing. It's great performance. And I love the detective story around it. So it's a good movie. It's a good 4K transfer too. I didn't watch Legion, but from what I've heard,
Shell
Legion,
Factory.
from what I've heard, Legion isn't that great. So plus I know
You mean the other cut?
the other cut, yeah, it's what's called Legion.
It's cool, but the part I don't like about it, because I mean there is extra different stuff in it, but the part I don't like about it is that they actually have Brad Dourif playing a recasted version of Karras.
Yeah.
So when it was confusing to the test audience, which I mean, you can buy George C. Scott playing Kinderman, but you've got Brad Dourif in here playing a character who should be like 10 years older than he probably
I know
is.
he's way young looking.
That's the problem. You know, it's like it'd be different if you recast him and it's somebody who's a little bit more age appropriate. But then they actually, because they couldn't track from my understanding, they couldn't track the original actor down or something for some reason. And then in the meantime, between there, they did. And so they brought him in for reshoots. And so what they did is they shot the times when he's actually, or did I say Karras? It's not Father Karras. It's Father. Yeah, it's Karras. Yeah, it is Karras. Yeah, Father Karras. You know, when it's him, he's him. You have the old actor playing him, and then when he switches over to the Gemini Killer or whatever, then he becomes Brad Dourif, which works better, in my opinion.
So much better.
And then the other big change, the other big difference is the original version. I actually kind of see where this is one of those few times, even though William Peter Blatty disagrees with it and he didn't like how the studio made him do it. I agree with all the changes the studio made him do. It is not the better version of the film. The better version of the film is the theatrical cut because you have what I just said, and the ending of the other one is just kind of anticlimactic because George C. Scott just shoots him.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah,
and it's like, wait a minute, that's how this is going to end. So yeah, you kind of have to they should have sprinkled it in there a little bit better. Because it does kind of come out of left field in that third act when all of a sudden this priest just decides he's going to go do this exorcism. They should have had something going with it earlier throughout the film, maybe, or like he was like a friend of the other priest or something like that.
Yeah.
Or they should have not killed, the friend and had him have to do the exorcism at the end. That would have probably been a better.
That would have been better, yeah. Yeah, because they only mentioned that priest one time in the movie. He's like, oh, we had the priest that works at the hospital. He performed an exorcist somewhere once and his hair turned white. Is it true?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like all they mentioned. He shows up at the end of the movie.
Yeah. It's like no setup whatsoever.
Yeah. I did read about some of that. I was reading up on some of it, researching some of it. According to Brad Dourif, what he says with the actor that originally played Damien Karras was that he became an alcoholic and he had wet brain, so he couldn't deliver the monologues. He couldn't deliver the big
makes sense too. And maybe they just said that they couldn't find him just to cover that up. That could be.
And then the studio wanted them to bring him back in.
Well, it kind of works because you can tell he's like out of it ish.
Yep.
But it works for the character because that's kind of what he's supposed to be. Is he comes in and his brain was mush, and the demon had to rebuild him from scratch.
for 15.
Otherwise, he would have died had it not been for the demon. Basically, is kind of what. So they live in tandem together, kind of like a symbiote relationship in a way.
Yeah.
But they're also consider themselves Legion. So it's just all cool. I've never actually read the novel. I don't remember how much is different though. I've like read about the novel, but I think it's fairly close from my.
It's fairly close, but it's also the novel is also anticlimactic, like William Peter Blatty.
Yeah, basically that's what the other version is the novel version.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I agreed that you needed exorcism because I was also reading that John Carpenter was approached to direct the movie. And it's even John Carpenter wrote about it in his memoirs or whatever. And he said he spent 1 week with William Peter Blatty discussing the movie. And he even told William Peter Blatty that, hey, you need a third act exorcism. And if I direct this, we need to make it big and devilish and all this. And he's like, William Peter Blatty told him, like, no, that's not really what I'm going for. Instead of John Carpenter's like, I could see he didn't want me to do it. He wanted to direct. So I just walked away. So that's what happened. So he was determined, William Peter Blatty was determined to have that ending that he wanted because for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it works better. It works better with an exorcism. But I do agree that they probably should not have titled it Exorcism 3 because, we know about part 2. It was a flop and a lot of people hated it. So they should have probably titled it Exorcist Legion or something like they wanted to originally instead of part 3. That way it would have, I don't know, it could have helped it a little bit. But it truly is.
Now it would be called Legion and Exorcist Story.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it would be nowadays. Yeah. So... But it was really good. I was watching it and I forgot how good it was and how creepy it truly is. And it's also when you're sitting there and you're watching this late at night and the lights are off and all of a sudden you start hearing like princess music and you're going, what the hell is that? And you pause the movie and one of the kids' Kindles is playing princess music just fucking out of the blue for no reason. It scared the shit out of me. So I was, because I don't know why it even started up or how, but it was during the movie, and I was just like, "Where the hell is that music coming from?" I was by myself, so it scared me when I was watching it. But no, it's a great movie, and I really enjoy it. I enjoyed it this time around way more than I did the first time around. And Brad Dourif is amazing in this movie, and I agree. I agree. It totally works when they cut between the two and the story that the theatrical cut presents. Not that the Legion, I mean, like I said, I've heard it was all right and here and there, but I didn't get to it. But there you guys. There you guys go. My Shout Factory pick for the night.
So you never have seen it at all, period. Okay.
No, I haven't seen the Legion. I have seen Exorcist 3 before.
That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, I've never seen. I'm sorry, I keep calling it the Legion because that's what the special features call it, the Legion cut. I've never seen the Legion cut, but I have seen Exorcist 3, the theatrical cut before. I have seen it before many times. I just forgot how good it was. But yeah, yes, Brad Dourif has retired. He's only going to do the voice of Chucky. That's all he's going to do from now on, because that's all he really needs to do. So that's all there is to it. But there you have it. There's my final pick of the not my final pick, my first pick, and then we'll move back to Tom here since Tom's got a little more than the rest of us. So what do you got, Tom?
He's got nothing. He's got nothing.
All right, I'm here. Okay, so let's get this one out of the way. I thought I'd give Mission Impossible 7 another shot. Because I didn't really enjoy it, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Although this case, I do like this scheme. I wish I had gotten all the films with this red case scheme. It's really I actually dig it. That being said, though, I wish I dug the movie. I actually disliked it even more this time around. I'm like, first of all, this movie should be ending now at about 1 hour and 45 minutes in. Basically, and even though I know there's more story to come, the logical ending where it feels like it should be coming to an actual conclusion is when Haley Atwell says, yes, I'll become a member of MI, and then she gets her mission. It should have cut right after she becomes a member. Then the next film picks up with the next mission. Right. That's the way it should have. And then starts on the train, and we kind of get a reflashback wraparound of her, because it actually, at the end of that scene, she tells Kittredge that, yeah, I'll join the MI team,
Mhm.
you know, and that would have been the great beginning of the next part, because then for another hour, this movie just goes on, and it's all the big stunt work and shit that we see in the trailer. And it's just like, okay, for the first hour, it just drags on. For the second hour, it's even more dragging on. In the third hour, it's like this movie should be over by now. And I'm not even really caring about the stunt sequences, because the biggest problem of these films, as most people have complained about, is we already have seen all the big stunt sequences in the trailer. So there's nothing to really awe us in that third act. And this one's anticlimactic because it's left on a cliffhanger. I think the lot more logical cliffhanger is after they get Haley Atwell in the team. That makes more sense.
Yeah, it does. And it like I said, I enjoyed the franchise myself. I got into it a little better than I thought I would this time around, but that is not the best of the movies. It's really showing its age.
Here. In fact, I might even go as far as to say it's worse than 2.
Ooh, now that's strong words. It is wearing it down. Yeah, it is wearing down. It's showing its age with this, and especially splitting it in 2. I don't think that was a good idea. I really don't.
3 hours long.
Exactly.
There's no reason for it.
I mean, you're making a 3-hour long movie, and then you're also making another 3-hour long movie that's part 2 of that 3-hour long movie. I mean,
it's not Lawrence of a fucking Arabia. It's Mission Impossible 7.
Exactly.
7.
What
By
did they
your
just make?
7th film, it shouldn't be over 90 goddamn minutes.
I assume one of they have just
story
made.
left to tell.
One of they have just made like maybe 3 more movies or something, just like 7,
They
8,
could have
9.
made 3 movies out of this. You're right,
Yeah,
Rook.
they could have.
I mean, it kind of is like an intriguing-ish story, right? And I like Isai Morales as the bad guy, but at the end of the day, there's just logical points where you feel like, okay, this story is coming to a close now. There's other things that still need to be done. They haven't concluded the entire mission, but this is where it feels like we should be going, okay, part 1 ends here. Then pick up with part 2. And then, and it would have been better because part 2 would have been the more action-packed probably of the 3. Because then you have all the train shit and the stuff in the beginning of part 2, kicking off part 2. And now I don't even know what they're doing, because now they're all also saying, well, this is not technically part 1 anymore because they're taking it off the title and stuff like that. It's like, well, what difference does it make? They still are doing another one, and they have to finish the story off.
Yeah, they
right?
still
Leave it hanging. Now, is that what they're going to do? Is just kind of clip off the end of the story at the beginning of the next film in like 15 minutes and then go to a completely different direction, or what? If that's the case, I'm going to be really pissed.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to be like, dude, that would have been perfect place before, because then you'd had 2 2-hour movies. What the fuck is this?
Exactly. If I'm completely honest, it should have ended. The series should have ended on the last one with what's his name, Henry Cavill. That should have been the finale. It should have killed one off in that.
The best, I think.
Yeah. So
I've never seen Mission
Impossible.
Impossible.
The Rogue Nation one?
Fallout, I believe it's
okay. I can't remember which one. I can't keep the names straight, but I think that's the one I like.
Is there ever any sense
Rogue
to
Nation.
the naming schemes? Like, do they fit what they are?
Typically, the name has something to do with it. I think Rogue Nation is the one with Jeremy Renner, and that's where they get like
he's in like 2 of them, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in 2 of them, and then he disappears, and they never bring him up again. And he was like a huge part of it.
Well, they were setting him up, I think. See, they did this to him twice, I think, because didn't they do this to him also? Yeah, they did this to him in fucking the Bourne Identity movie.
Yeah.
Where they were kind of setting him up to take over, because I think at that point, I think Tom Cruise was, getting ready to move on, and then he got an extra gust of wind underneath him or something. I don't know what happened there, but it felt like that's what they were doing, was kind of setting it up for Jeremy Renner to kind of take over as the Ethan Hunt role.
Yeah,
that probably stopped because of his accident or something, I assume.
No, he just didn't show up for the next one, and I don't remember if it had. I think he was shooting something else. Trying to remember what it was. It might have been one of the Avenger movies or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but then like they don't. The thing is, like, he became a really important character in the 2 movies he was in, and then when they go into this,
but Tom Cruise is a dick, and he'll fucking cut you.
Yeah, it's like they don't even mention his name or where he's at.
And he almost did the same damn thing to Ving Rhames, from what I remember hearing, because there was a financial dispute. And that's why he's not in the one or just only in the ending or whatever it is. Because they had a dispute over his pay. And I guess Tom was ready to just say, yeah, fuck you. You're not in the next one. So like, that's why he has like zero role in that movie. They don't mention Vincent once until like, and then he pops up, either pops up at the end or he pops up at the end of the next one. I can't remember which it is, but is he gone for one whole movie or is he just gone for most of the one movie? I can't remember.
It's the first one with Jeremy Renner, Rogue Nation, which is a good one.
Because that was one I think he was griping about his pay or something like that, and getting pushed more to the side or whatever because of Jeremy Renner or something like that. I think that was what was. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I think that was what happened.
I think it was because I think that's the one where he shows up at the very end of the movie with Ethan at the bar.
I think that had like it was part of a reshoots or something like that.
Yeah. But that one is good. I'll agree. This Rogue Nation one is a good one. And according to Ron here, it says Tom was planning an exit until Ghost Protocol.
That's right. Yeah.
Bigger the hit than they expected. So that makes sense.
Sounds about right.
That makes sense. Oh, so it hit. Maybe I ain't done.
Well, there's the two breaks, right? Because you have like the couple eras, because like they did 1 and 2, and then there's the break for a while, and then JJ come in. And it was like 3 years, I think, there in that break. And then there's another break in between the new batch and the ones in the middle. So like there was like another 3-year break in between. It was like the last one was like 2012 or something like that, or 2000 whatever 10, something like that. And then they had like a couple year break, and then they finally did these last couple that he just did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't remember exactly, but the problem I have with this fucking franchise is, Greg, you broke it down the best that one night.
Yeah.
And I wish I could clip that for whenever anybody argues me, because you said it the best. Because this is, and you can like these better than the Transformer movies, and I'm not trying to say that they're not better quality than the Transformer movies, but story wise, they're the same damn thing as the Transformer movies in the same respect that you can't, if you sit there and go, okay, here's what happens, this broad generalized like plot, you can't name which one it is because it's all of them.
It's the same plot in every movie. It's the mission starts, something happens, and then I can't even remember how I put it now.
You did a great job with it. You were like totally on fucking point, man.
Yeah,
like that was an amazing.
Here's Ethan Hunt and his team. The mission happens. They're on a mission. They lose an item, and then they're tasked with gaining that item back and solving the case at point. And it gets
you said it better than that, because it's
like
all
trade or something.
It leads up to an elaborate scheme that he has to do to get the thing back or get the thing that they need. And you said it where it actually fit for every single movie.
I wish I could remember, because it's been a while since I've rewatched them.
It was the same thing I do to people when they're like, well, I like the Transformers, this one or that one. I'm like, okay, tell me which one this is. The Transformers find out that there was something in the past that was related to them that they didn't know about till now, and only the Decepticons have gotten a hold of it.
Yeah,
and now they got to get it.
Start.
That's every single one of them. And it's just, you did it. You broke it down. It was exactly like it fits for every single one of the Mission Impossible movies. And I'm sitting here going through my head. I'm like, yeah, there's not a single one of them that description does not fit.
Exactly.
In some way, shape, or form.
Well, what's funny is that, is there varying qualities in them? Like, is one of them good?
Yeah, but I mean, it's pretty basically the same. You have an elaborate scheme in the beginning that outside of the first film has nothing to do with the rest of the movie usually.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the actual plot comes into play, and then there's some elaborate scheme that happens, and they either don't get the thing or they lose the thing, like Greg said. And then they have to come up with some elaborate scheme to get the thing back. And if it's not a thing, it's to prove that Ethan's innocent.
Yeah.
Because in every single one of them, either MI is being shut down, he's been
betrayed
in
some way.
That's what
you said something. Yeah.
It's like they accept the mission goes sideways, the MI whatever disavows them. They have no hope, so it's just up to Ethan and his team to save the day and to prove that they were right all along. And they come up with some kind of scheme where they wear a mask and they trick people and they bring them all together, and then all of a sudden they solve the day, and then MI whatever is all
there's
back
always
together.
A twist the audience doesn't know too.
Yeah,
and every one of them is always a surprise.
Like, on its face value, that doesn't sound horrible, but it really depends on how they execute it. That makes
and it is. It's kind of like a hit and miss. Like the first film's good. Second film I used to hate, but when I rewatched it recently, I'm like, this is not that bad as I remember. It's not as many doves.
like especially if by the like fifth one, if it's more that they're established, they're used to this, they'd react to it differently than they would in the first one. I assume.
And then my problem is the third film is where we fall into the Transformers routine big time, right? Because at least the second film can stand out on its own a little bit because it has a little bit more style to it, a different vibe to it, and I believe that's one of the only ones where the opening stunt has something to do with what happens later on, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because doesn't he use the wall climbing shit, or or maybe I'm thinking of a different one because he does it again in another one.
That actually comes into play in the one right before the one you're watching with Henry Cavill, with Fallout. With Henry Cavill, because he's
I thought that was in a different series altogether, honestly.
And he's got to climb up just like.
But for some reason, I remember the two also wrapped around for some reason, but I could be wrong. But anyhow, I didn't hate it as much this time out as I did the original time. And then I had never seen 3, 4, 5, and I watched them all. I watched all of them in one sitting before this new movie came out back last year. And I hated 3, fucking hated 3, even though everybody loves 3. I'm like, they wasted Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was one of the worst villains I've ever seen in a movie, ever. And this guy can act, and you got him going, I'm going to get you. I'm going to hurt you. Then I'm going to hurt your family and your friends. And then when I'm done with that, then I'm really going to kill you. You know, it's like that is, what the fuck are you doing?
You see, I'd rather have the sexy Morgana. I'm going to destroy you and your family.
Well, he's not even. I would have liked it better had he been acting like a Bond villain. You got Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's literally just phoning it in with, I hate you, Ethan Hunt. Like, come on, dude. What the fuck is this? This guy can act. What is he?
Okay. Yeah, and then not to mention it's a J.J. Abrams convoluted.
That's probably the problem. He's all like, play it down. And it's like, no, this guy should be living it up. He is a fucking actor. Let him act.
Let him choose scenery.
Let him get super big and grandiose. Like, what the fuck? This guy hates Ethan Hunt. Let's see it. Let's see that anger, because he can do angry. Right? Yeah. Like, he can do really good. That's what bothers me, when you have a great actor and you can tell they just fucking wasted him. And that is a prime example of it right there. And I'm sitting here going through this movie going, it's sad enough that we already lost this guy early, because I liked him. He's one of those character actors that rose above being just a character actor. And then we lost him early, and you got him in this movie as your bad guy, and you fucking waste him like that. I'm sorry. And I know a lot of people love it, but yeah, I think I liked the Rogue Nation and the Ghost Protocol one a little bit better. Fallout, one of those 2 or 3 I liked better, and then one of the other ones I didn't care for as much.
Yeah. I think when we talked about it was Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol, with the 2 with Jeremy Renner are actually the better of the sequels, are the best.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And then my other issue with this one is we've gone through all these movies now, and you and I both said this, Greg. He hadn't lost anybody since the first film. So that's one thing I give points on this movie for, but they don't do it to a character we actually give a shit about.
Yeah.
It's Rebecca Ferguson, somebody who's just been introduced in like the last couple movies or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I said I know people would have hated it. That
scene should have been Benji dying. Exactly.
Yes, Benji should have died in the last one, because that villain they had, that guy was a bad.
When he's like, you're done, and it should have said like game over or something like that, and boom.
Yeah, he should have just straight killed. I know people would have been pissed because Benji's a great character, but
you need it for the stakes, man, because at this point,
sometimes it's better to miss somebody than to have them linger around.
It's just
the problem is that the whole setup to this point is the last few films, it's been really harping on the idea that Ethan cares more about his friends, and that's his only weakness. Well, then use that against him. If this AI computer is supposed to be able to do all these things, figure out every single scenario, right down to the last 2 possible scenarios, then it should know the one way it can get to Ethan is by killing his friends, which it does, but it does it to Rebecca Ferguson, which they quickly replace with Haley Atwell.
Yeah, with Haley Atwell, real quick. Like, they kill her off and just insert in Haley Atwell.
If you got a new girl, then it's fine. Yep.
It felt really cheap. That's my point. Or even if it was Ving Rhames, it could have been him too. Like, one or the other. You can't league it. And I like them both too. but you're right. You got to at some point say he's got to have more stakes in this.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of like, what the fuck is the point here? They never die. They never fail. Yes. So you showed them failing in this one, but it's the middle of a story, actually.
Yeah.
So did they really fail?
Yeah.
This feels less like Endgame and more like, because it's disconnected.
They failed until they won. They failed until they won, essentially.
That's why I said the one before this one with Henry Cavill, that should have been the one to end the franchise.
That's true. They did kill Alec Baldwin, but nobody gave a shit.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. That nobody cared about Alec Baldwin.
Nobody cared.
When he died, they was like, "Oh, okay, let's go." That's been essentially what happened.
Oh, that's too bad. Anyway,
yeah. Anyways, they went right on, and then Jeremy Renner replaced him. I think, in the movie, he took his job as the boss. So it didn't matter. But no, they really needed to, like, the one with the Luther, I believe his name was the bad guy in Ghost Protocol and Fallout. And he should have been, because he was a badass dude. He was a villain, and he should have killed one of them, and it really should have ended in the last movie. Because after that, like Tom said, this was not one of the better ones. It was overly too long. Like people were saying in the chat, it was a COVID movie, so you could tell it bloated. Maybe went on too long. So yeah.
You think that they'd love to cut it down though, if it's bloated or during COVID.
That's
it's like, look at how much we can turn out. We can brush up and give more time in the theater or something with less runtime.
They decided, since we got all this time to work on it, we'll just make 2 movies out of it. And then now Tom's saying that they might even not make the second one not even a part of this. They might just change it real quick and it's the next one after it. So yeah. Oh no, Luther is Ving Rhames. Okay, I can't. What was his name? What was the bad guy's name? Because he was really good. Like I said,
I think I called him Vincent. That's not his name. Vincent.
Maybe Vincent was the bad guy. And Luther was.
I think maybe yeah.
But he was a good bad guy. He was a really, really good bad guy. But I'm agree with you. I know people love Part 3. I think Part 3 is all right, but I do think Philip Seymour Hoffman is wasted, and it's a J.J. Abrams. Once you know J.J. Abrams' tropes, legitimately all of his tropes are in that movie. The red sphere, the white rabbit's tail, all that bullshit that he likes to have in there. It's kind of pointless. And it feels more like a TV show, which is actually, I guess, in its favor, considered it's based on a TV show. So, but yeah, I agree with you. It's not the newest one is not the better of the movies. I can see why it didn't do as well. And also to Brian Bart's, I do think maybe Top Gun was a bit of an outlier because Top Gun has a different feel to it and has a fan base that was from the 80s, and they played into that fan base. They did.
Yeah, a lot of people felt it was Tom Cruise was the trick to that. I said, no, it was the movie itself.
It was
people forget how big Top Gun was back in 1986.
Exactly. It was the feel and like
huge.
Yeah, and it was like watching an 80s movie today. It wasn't people going and watching Tom Cruise. It was people going and watching an 80s movie with fighter jets and USA and all that, which was great.
It's what Force Awakens should have been, and it's where people wouldn't have bitched that The Force Awakens was a retelling of A New Hope. Mm-hmm. All you had to do is just switch the generation, right? Mm-hmm. So Luke would have been in the Obi-Wan role and so on, and that's kind of where Maverick works out, although they do make sure that Tom Cruise still plays a proactive role. That's all you got to do, and that's what they should have done with the Star Wars films, kind of like with Cobra Kai as well. Mm-hmm. Build a new generation, but not at the expense of the old one. Exactly. Right? Like that's the thing.
And you got to have the old ones have the old ones forge the new one.
Exactly. You have to pay them respect. So, like Tom said, yep. Very true. All right. It seems like every time we talk about the Mission Impossible movies, we go on like this big.
It's funny. I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie, but I feel like I know them, even though I haven't seen them ever. But they just seem like they're baked into so many things I've seen in that type of way, or things that reference Mission Impossible. So it feels like I've seen them half the time.
I still think Part 1's the best, and I know there's fans that don't like Part 1 because honestly, it is the Last Jedi of Mission Impossible. Because that is one where they don't pay respect to the TV crew. They kill off all the crew. They were originally going to kill off all the people from the TV series because it was a TV series, right?
Well, the thing that bothers fans is that they made the character that was the main character of the original show the villain.
Yeah.
That was kind of the problem most people had.
Yeah, because originally they were going to bring back the surviving members of the cast, kill them all off, and have the guy that was the leader of the Mission Impossible TV series, the actor that actually played him on the show, and he was going to be the bad guy. And he was like, "No, I ain't doing this. No, that's not my character."
Well,
so
that's
they just
actually
hired John Voight to replace him.
That's actually more embarrassing when you compare that to other actors that could have also refused that type of thing, like Mark Hamill, for example, could have said.
Yeah, but-
Well, and I think that having Voight play the part, what it did was it helped some people go, okay, it's more of a paying homage to the original show than it is the actual character, right?
You could say like
It's
this
like-
is a different world.
Sort of, kind of, but it's like more like, okay, this is its own thing, and that's just kind of a wink to the original film, or the original show, I mean, right? In a way, I mean, because then that way you can kind of disconnect yourself from it being, you know.
Yeah, I keep waiting for them to reference that all that in the new ones again, like bring it back a little bit, but I don't think they will. All right, so we'll go to Rook now, and then back to you again, Tom, and then to me, because you got what do you got, like 3 left?
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that way, because we need to do you double time. So what do you got, Rook?
Probably another obscure one. The Last Templar. You guys haven't heard of this?
Nope, never seen this.
Nope, I haven't either. This was a more recent one. I was looking for, like, I saw there was like Templars in it, and I'm trying to find films that have that kind of thing. And I was like, there's a chick with a T-shirt on the front and the dude with glasses, and then okay, there's a mixture. There's either some time travel stuff or something that links from the past to the present. So I was curious about it. Apparently, it was a 2009 miniseries, which makes sense because this movie's 3 hour, or like it's just really fucking long. It's like really, it's basically 3 hours, but it feels like a TV show. The way that it starts, there's Templars on horses and going down the street. There's a museum and whatever. There's like NCIS. There's detectives, FBI stuff going on. And this chick is her father was a treasure hunter, and she's really into treasure hunting as well. She loves that kind of stuff, and she keeps on butting heads with the FBI guy that. Speaking of this I think it has a cast of people that might be more familiar to you guys. It's got a Victor Garber, Mira Serrano, Scott Foley, and these names ring bells.
So a couple of character actors and has-beens and never was.
Kenneth Welsh. Yeah, that's actually what's funny. I think I selected it because I recognized
Mira Sorvino is one of the people who supposedly slept with Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. But
and her dad is what's his face? Sorvino.
There's a lot of like weird elements to this where they're trying to be like a TV show, goofy, funny in a way, like an NCIS, but trying to be a comedy. It feels like, and they're trying to link it to history, but they present it in just a pretty boring way. Her shoes are like a plot element for like a good portion of the movie. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, she goes to this museum event and comments on her shoes, and then she breaks them as she steals a police horse trying to go after the Templars, and then the FBI guy gets her a new pair, and then later she tries to sneak into the hospital to speak to one of the captured Templars, and then the FBI guy recognizes her because of her shoes, and then later she puts on her combat boots, which was like referenced earlier. I was like, what is the fixation on shoes in a like investigative treasure hunting movie? Like,
she's gotta have good
just a little. It was just a little annoying because I was like, okay, I don't know what the target audience for this is. I don't know. Is it like investigative stuff, treasure hunting stuff, women that just like fashion? I don't know.
All of the above.
Because I think it's trying to do that kind of thing where she's like a girly girl, a single mother who's also not afraid to get dirty and do all this other stuff, but. It's just like, I didn't even finish it, to be honest. Like, I watched, there's minutes left of it, but I was like over 2 hours in, and I'm like, I think I got it. You know, like I don't. It's not like it's horrible, but I don't recommend it. It's just, like if you've seen other shows or like National, it just made me want to watch Indiana Jones or National Treasure. You know, like it made me want to watch good adventure treasure hunting stuff. This was Like, it's kind of boring. Or Castle, even like if we're going for the investigative, crime show things. Like, it's just making me think of everything else that's better than what it's just trying to be, and this just doesn't.
I didn't even finish it, to be honest, because it was so boring. But it's not bad.
Well, I mean, it's the kind of thing where I could finish it later, but like I'm not in a hurry to finish it right now. And I mean, considering it seems like it's meant to be a little TV show. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe I need to give it a break to finish it. I'm just not interested right now in just seeing how it concludes. I'm just like, yeah, I don't really care if you find the decoder and figure out the secret to the Templars. Like I was hoping for a more, I don't know, maybe soldier-based story with some type of like passed down to the present, and they're trying to figure out their history. And I don't know, there's something else I was hoping it was going to be, and it wasn't that. So it's just not really not tickling my fancy as much as I'd like. So no, I do not recommend it.
I can't say I've seen it, so
yeah, I doubt anybody else has seen it, honestly. So
what's the deleted scenes? Sorry, deleted scenes. Deleted scenes said he's seen it. He's about the only one in the chat.
What do you think of? What do you think of it? Deleted scenes? Because I didn't finish it, so I don't know. Should have watched Firewalker and called it a day. What's that?
It's a movie, Firewalker.
I think that's a Chuck Norris movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, I was about to say, well, what is it about? Yeah,
with
it's a movie. Yeah, okay, Chuck Norris movie.
Chuck Norris. It's an adventure movie like that.
Yeah,
where they're out in like the jungle and stuff. So
yeah, that might be good.
Yeah.
Beyond the bottom of the barrel. I mean, so like Battle Droid was worse from last week. Like I watched it, but it was like half the runtime of this, and it was awful. Like that was awful. Still, this is just like, if it was on the TV, at best it would be a background. I'm not really paying attention. So.
Oh, Brandon Brad said he saw it too. He said you got further into it than he did.
Okay, yeah, he quit too. Good. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I guess it's annoying too because like the actors are fine. There's some like it comes off like it's well put together, but I'm just falling asleep. I'm just like, I'd rather watch like all these other things. I already listed all of them, so yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point. High praise. Battle Droid was worse. No, exactly. He gets it.
Rook, I don't know where you find these sometimes. I really just I don't know how you find them or where you get these recommended from.
I find it hilarious because I really thought that you guys like knew of all the obscure ones, but it's like no, I apparently
no. You are the Mikey of fucking movies, dude.
Who?
Have Mikey try it. He likes everything. He'll eat it.
Well,
like we have standards, dude.
Yeah, but saying that I like it, that's a stretch.
Okay.
Like,
okay, well, okay. Here's the difference. You may not like it, but this is like Greg and I will not eat at those fucking like dead end dives because we know we're probably going to get some disease. You, on the other hand, take a fucking chance.
Well, again,
every time. Because you think you're going to find the diamond in the rough that has a really good burger or something like that. I hate telling you, Rook, you're wrong, but
well, no, I think I think you're right, and I feel like in time, probably a quicker time now, if I get enough horrible ones in a row, I'll be the same way. I'll be exactly like
Greg and I walk into the place to take a look around. We're going like, nope, let's find another place to eat. You're just like, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, you could find, maybe you'll find a nice bit of potential in a
maybe they got some good pie.
I found two movies that are recommendable out of, by this point, like 40.
That should tell you something.
Yeah, 2 out of 40. I ain't got enough money to buy 40 movies and find 2 good ones, so I'm gonna buy the good ones right off the bat.
But not, basically, you it's like you shop at the dollar store of movies, man. Like.
Yeah, but no, this will make when I watch more of the better movies and start showing those again. I'm like, remember when Rook would bring on all those obscure weird ones? Now he's bringing on all these good ones. Finally, the boys watch these ones now. Good, yes. I'm building up tension, guys. I'm building up a thing. So when I get to the horror stuff,
you should have higher standards for yourself. You're wasting a lot of time on this garbage.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, it wouldn't,
Sometimes-
like, it's not like you're hurting yourself physically or anything like that. Well, I mean, you could be doing exercise, I suppose. But I mean, it just, you know, it's like you could be spending time watching actual good films. Like,
No, that's a good point. I guess I didn't really see it that way. That's time I could be spending watching.
do this
Better
when you've seen everything else. Then you start digging through
Then
the
you
crap.
find the old ones.
Then you find shit like me, like the Greasy Strangler.
Yeah.
See, then you actually find those diamonds in the rough because you can go through the trailer and go crap, 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 crap. What the fuck is the Greasy Strangler?
Yep.
Like a movie I haven't heard of. Okay.
Not just that, you're watching the trailer and you're going, okay, now I can watch this. Like, see, then you could learn, you get to a point where, like, if you see that it's made by some company you've never heard of, avoid it.
Yeah.
That's generally the first thing. Now, if it has nobody you've ever heard of before involved in it or any pedigree whatsoever, if you look at their IMDb and the last thing they worked on was a fucking CW show, avoid it. Right? Like, those are two things, like, right there. Like, there's a few things. Yes, Joey, it is an interesting film.
Greasy Strangler.
Go watch the trailer.
We can play the trailer on here, but go watch the trailer.
Yeah, we can't play the trailer on here. I think we tried it once.
Considering the guy walks around with his junk hanging out the whole movie.
Bullshit artist.
The Greasy.
Oh, when he was-
Oh
Michael
man,
Jackson.
you'll see that movie. It was actually free for a while on one of the streaming services. That's where I stumbled upon it.
I'm watching the trailer right now.
Or actually, I didn't stumble upon it. I happened to find out that it was live there on one of the streaming services. But I saw the trailer. I'm trying to remember where, and I'm just like, what the fuck? This can't be a real movie.
Is this the movie with like the boogers or something?
No, it's not
No.
boogers. Anyway, while he's watching that, what's our next?
Yeah,
is it
it's
your
you.
turn now, Greg? Or is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got 3 left here.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got 3 left.
I should have probably followed up Oceans with this one. It would have made more sense. I don't know why I didn't. I mean, I could have went 2 ways with this, but I'll go this way. I had not seen this movie in a long time, even though I've had the DVD for a while.
Oh yeah.
But I picked up
didn't-
the Blu-ray. And because I was trying to think of I was like, after watching the Ocean movies, I'm like, I haven't seen 3,000 Miles of Graceland in a while. I've been wanting to watch it again. Looked and see if it was on Blu-ray. It was on an expensive Sony re-release, even though Warner Brothers released it originally, because it's a Morgan Creek film. The Blu-ray doesn't look the greatest. So at this point,
Yeah, I was
it
gonna
is
say, 'cause
cheaper on streaming right now. I will say that it's only like $10, I think.
I didn't
so
even know
wait-
it was ever on Blu-ray is a thing.
Yeah, and there's like no special features either way. So I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the original time out. It's okay. The weird thing is, I'm watching this movie, I'm going, I feel like this movie was never meant for Kevin Costner. Even though he's good in it as the bad guy role. I feel like this is supposed to be meant for a bunch of Elvis actors. Like Val Kilmer should have been playing his part, or
That would
Nicolas
make
Cage.
Yeah, that would have worked against Kurt Russell, big time.
Yes, because then you have the 3 main Elvis actors in there being, Kurt Russell, Nick Cage, and Christian Slater because of True Romance, right? So, like I said, even if you had, Val Kilmer in there as the main bad guy, that would have worked for me too. Because Kevin Costner don't look nothing like Elvis.
No.
Doesn't sound anything like Elvis, doesn't act like Elvis, has never done anything Elvis related. So like that to me is what the selling point of this film should have been to begin with, is you get all these actors that had some connection with Elvis to be in it. So, but at the end of the day, is the movie good? It's decent. Courtney Cox, oh my God. She is one of the worst. This is one of the reasons why now I'm like, this is where age does not help a film. Back then, she was the kind of character is just like, whatever. But now that I'm watching this movie, I'm like, she is a dumb fucking character. A horrible character. And not only that, she's a horrible. Now, when they say like women are written in certain ways and they bitch about women in movies, this is the kind of movie they were talking about. She is written horribly. She is a horrible mother, a horrible person. and for some reason gets with Kurt still at the end of the movie, and it makes no fucking sense. Like, she should lose her fucking kid. Honestly, justifiably, the movie should have ended with her dying and Kurt Russell taking the kid on. As that would, that would have made more fucking sense. Because, yeah, by the end of the movie, I'm just going, why do you even care about this bitch at this point? She's already ditched the kid and fucked you over like 5 fucking times now. Let her go. Like, fuck it. He did you a favor and the kid a favor.
Yeah.
So, because that's the big thing. There's this big whole thing leading up to, oh, did she get killed? Did she get killed? And then they have this big moment, and because this one lady's wearing a similar dress to what Courtney Cox was wearing, and then they roll her over and it's not her, and you're like, oh, and everybody's, oh, it's like, no, I'd be like, God damn it.
Make it be her. Just make it be her.
I thought it was like, and I remember now I was having a flashback to why I have not watched this movie in that long, because the ending of the movie is kind of like that, where it kind of pisses you off in that respect. Although the ending does redeem itself with how it plays out. Mm-hmm. It's not great. It's in that 6 level out of 10. It could have been better. Yeah. Don't spend the $20 fucking on the Blu-ray though.
Okay.
You can find it cheaper than that, yes. But yeah.
I've not seen that movie in years.
And I threw in the DVD just to compare, and I mean, it doesn't look great, but if you have the DVD already, I wouldn't say it's worth upgrading to the Blu-ray.
Okay, well, there
you know, David, I would probably buy it on 4K. I'm not saying I'd never watch it again, but I fucking hate her character this time out. I just really did not like her.
Do you think Courtney Cox is a good actress?
No, normally, yes. Yeah. And she generally does play these kind of parts good. It's just the movie needed her to die.
That's
She's honestly not a good person.
Honestly, that's sort of how I felt when I watched Hollow Man again, the Elizabeth Shue character, which I thought kind of needed to die as well, because she's technically not that good of a person herself in that movie. She's legitimately the reason he's becomes.
And that used to be movie rules, right? Then that used to be movie rules. And that was when, when we were kids and you start to learn the movie rules. You're watching your movie and your hero does something bad. You know automatically that means, oh shit, he's going to sacrifice himself at the end somehow. Mm-hmm. There's just little dead giveaways, right? Like, or even if somebody redeems himself in some way, they still can't live, right? Or, there's always these little things. But then this is where I understand Tarantino's gripe about movies in the 80s. Because this is a good example of that, even though this was not an 80s film. It has one of those 80s movies kind of endings to it. And the movie feels like a 70s kind of movie, and it should have had a 70s movie kind of ending. And I think that would have helped fix this movie. It's like, if you're going to make this character that bad and have Kurt Russell and the kid have that much of a connection, then you just let the character get killed. Because she's a worthless fucking mother. She's raised her kid horribly. And then she ditches him. And really, at the end of the day, she's an unlikable person. Yeah. So, and Courtney Cox can play unlikable characters real easily. Look at Gale Weathers, for instance.
Exactly. I was gonna say she plays.
And she does it in a way that you like her in those kind of roles. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, she plays it. She, like with Gale Weathers, she typically plays that character where, yeah, she's a bitch and she's horrible, but damn it, there's something about her that you like.
Well, and that is also because she's usually right.
Yeah. You got to have that nugget of like, yeah, she's a bitch, but she's right, and she means it, and you're like, okay, I can respect that,
because she's kind of the one who solves and figures everything out in most of the movies. So
yeah. But I've not, like I said, I've not seen that movie in years. I remember really liking Kurt Russell. I think I remembered liking some of the action sequences.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff in it, and the whole concept is good. Like they're robbing a casino, and that's the other reason why it made me think of it, because Ocean's 11. It was like, what other movies are Vegas related, robbing a casino kind of thing? And that's what it is they're robbing a casino. And this was years before, or I think it was either the year before or a couple years before Ocean's 11 came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's kind of what it is. They're robbing this casino during an Elvis convention. That's the gimmick.
Yeah. It's almost like the Ben Affleck movie, Reindeer Games, where they're going to rob a casino dressed as Santa Clauses.
But I feel like the gimmick was like, this was written for Kurt Russell and probably 2 or 3 other Elvis actors. and this also was at the time where Kevin Costner was on the outs.
Yeah.
So him playing the bad guy makes sense. Like to me, it feels like it was they were trying to probably get like Val Kilmer or Nicolas Cage or whatever for that role, and then we got Kevin Costner's people on the phone. He saw the script and he likes it. He's interested, and he's looking to expand, which means he can't get a lead movie anymore.
Yeah, just give him the role and maybe this help his career.
Yeah. This isn't like John Travolta in Broken Arrow.
Yeah,
that's one of the rare exceptions. Like this is when an actor's on the downturn and they know it, so they just start taking villain roles.
Right. Now I kind of want to watch Honeymoon in Vegas with Nick Cage.
That's what I mean. It would have made sense with that, and because isn't John Lovitz in that too?
You know what? I've not seen it in years.
I think he is, because that's the other thing I was saying. Because John Lovitz is in this as well, and that's where I'm sitting here going. I'm thinking like, why does it feel like this movie was set up to be like all these guys who have been in Elvis type movies are supposed? Because that's kind of like the gimmick. It feels like an Expendables, but with these old Elvis actors, right? So it's like to me, it's like, why isn't Nicolas Cage the bad guy?
That would have been
awesome. Feels like it's written for him.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. No, John Lovitz is not in Honeymoon in Vegas. It's
because it's basically the character he plays in Face Off.
Right. That makes sense. But Nicolas Cage, James Caan, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Pat Morita.
Why do I feel like he was in some Elvis movie where he was dressed as a fat Elvis somewhere? Why?
I think I remember that as well, honestly.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I know I've seen, and that's when he popped up too. I was thinking the same thing. Because it didn't dawn on me the first time I watched this movie years ago, but I'm watching it this time going, this feels like a very missed opportunity here. Like Nicolas Cage would have been the ultimate bad guy here to Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that, because Kevin Costner's playing it like, yeah, he's a fucking psycho, but he's too cool for school. And it's like, this is what's his face, Nicolas Cage's character in Face Off. Like, what the hell? He's Castor Troy. Like,
it needs to be.
And the whole gimmick, spoilers, is that it all leads up to the reason he acts the way he does and acts out the way he does is that years ago when Elvis died, there was like 70 some guys that come out claiming they were the son of Elvis, or the people claimed they were kids of Elvis, and all of them came back negative except for 2 inconclusive. And that's another thing that feels like they left it hanging. It's like, okay, so is that way to where it was like meant that these guys are actually illegitimate brothers and there's both kids of Elvis?
Yeah.
Is that also left on the floor somewhere? Like, that's what it feels like. It's like, because otherwise you're like, why are these guys even remotely connected anyway? Because from the beginning, that's the problem too with this movie, is Kurt Russell is too goody two-shoes to even be hanging out with somebody like Kevin Costner's character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need somebody like Nicolas Cage where they're likable, and then he starts amping it up throughout the film.
It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, because in this point, Kevin Costner plays it the same through the whole movie, and he's just this big, bad, dangerous dude who will do anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't know if he's going to kill you or fuck you. And, that to me is like, that's Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
what the hell? And he thinks he's Elvis already. So,
yeah, so it'll work perfectly.
I'm the king. Because there's a scene where I could see him playing in it where it'd be like a perfect Nicolas Cage scene, because they're talking. I don't remember what they're doing, but they're all in the car goofing around. Because David Arquette's in this movie too, because him and Courtney Cox were together at the time. That's probably the only reason he's in it. Because she probably is like, I'll be in it if you get my boyfriend a job. Because at that time, he was Dewey, but he was still just one of the Arquette kids, and nobody cared. But like, because he says something about I'm okay in a death match. Not that stupid shit cartoon on TV, but the real thing. We got Frank Sinatra in one corner and Elvis in the other, and he's doing the blow by blow. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and the king goes down, and Kevin Costner pulls the car over to the side of the road, and he's like, who said the king goes down? His regular Kevin Costner voice. And I'm just like picturing like, this is a scene for Nicolas Cage. Because he'd have been like, all right, who said the king is down?
Yeah, I can see that. And that is true. I was also going to bring it.
Was it you? Was it you? I know it was you. Don't ever say that again.
I was actually going to bring that would have been great. That would have been great. You could have seen like Nicolas Cage flipping his lid saying when the king went down right on him. But
King
no,
never goes down.
I was going to bring it up. David Arquette was actually the WCW heavyweight champion at the time of this movie. So
yeah, this is right around the same time that he did the wrestling movie too. But like I said, you can feel like this was a big. That's the other thing I remember about this movie when it came out. This was a pretty big budget flop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it lost a lot of money. But so I'm sure they paid the cast a pretty penny. So they weren't looking to cast David Arquette in this role. It's a very small role anyway. It's like, yeah, I guarantee you Courtney Cox got him the job.
All right. Well, I have not seen that movie in years, but I do remember.
It's fun. It has its moments, but it's just like in retrospect, watching it now, I'm just like, feel like more like a missed opportunity, and there must have been some rewrites or something somewhere because some shit just falls off to the wayside by the end of the film.
Yeah. All right. Good. Like I said, I think maybe I'd just stick with the DVD if I find it because I haven't seen it in years, and so if I find it, I'll do that. But to me, speaking of Elizabeth Shue, I watched Adventures in Babysitting.
Don't fuck with the babysitter.
And it is in the movie. It is in the.
Well, yeah, because that came out years ago.
Yeah.
That Blu-ray did.
Because I heard some people were saying that it's even edited on the Blu-ray, and I'm like, it better not be.
No, just the Disney Plus version.
Yeah, just the Disney Plus. But this is good. This is actually from Mill Creek, so go figure.
What is this
called?
Adventures in Babysitting?
Let me show you if you can see the logo, the Mill Creek logo.
Weird. I swear mine was Touchstone. Maybe
it is Touchstone, but it's also this was put out by Mill Creek.
Well, apparently. No, I mean I guess Disney or whatever I meant, but yeah.
Oh yeah. But no, this is a great movie. Rook, if you've never seen it, I recommend you see this. This is one of those staples of like the 80s when you growing up as a kid, you know, whether in the early 90s or late 80s, this was something that like you threw it on, you watched because Elizabeth Shue was hot. It was fun, and it had that great line of where it's just because it was PG-13. It's like, you don't fuck with the babysitter. So it was this great line, this great moment in the movie, and it's just a really classic movie. It's a good movie, and I for whatever reason I got a hankering to watch it, and I was just like, I had not seen that in a long time. I popped it in, and it was good. It was good. I had a good fun time. So the basic plot of the story is Elizabeth Shue. She's a senior in high school. She's supposed to be going out on a date with her boyfriend for their anniversary. He shows up to her house and cancels. And so she gets called to babysit these two kids. And her best friend runs away from home. She's at this bus station and she's scared to death. So she calls her and says, you need to come get me, bring me. There you go. Yeah, you got the Disney version, don't you?
I do.
Yours is how come I got a Mill Creek version, which I've had?
I don't know. I think I got mine through the Disney Movie Club too. Maybe I should check it. Maybe this version is edited.
Maybe you should check the Disney version. Yeah, because mine is the Mill Creek and it's not edited. So it's mine don't even have the you see the back. It doesn't even have the Disney.
This was directed by Chris Columbus.
Yeah. But this is a great movie. But yeah, and then, so she has to
play Thor in it too.
Yeah, that's why I just put that out because he also plays Kingpin and Thor.
See, mine says 25th anniversary edition. Does yours say that?
No, mine doesn't say that at all. Mine just. What the special features does yours have?
None. But mine came out in 2012.
This says mine says 2023. This one I've had this longer.
Reprint.
This one I've had this longer.
That must have been one of the ones in there, because remember Mill Creek got a buttload of.
That's true. They did, didn't they? Reprints.
Yeah, so it's probably what it is. It's probably the same exact disc then, I bet.
Okay, I just one I've had this longer than that though.
See, and mine has DTS on it, and that's another thing. Does that one have DTS? Because Mill Creek sometimes will bump that down to Dolby Digital.
Dolby Audio, DTS HD, Master Audio 5.1.
Actually did. Okay, so it's probably just a straight.
Yeah.
Straight, same thing.
Interesting. I could sworn I know I had the DVD for years and upgraded the Blu-ray not too long ago, but I could sworn I had it longer than 2023. Who knows? I buy a lot of shit sometimes.
Mill Creek put it out.
So I was opened it up and watched it.
Most of the Mill Creek ones. That's why it was like 2023. Wait, they didn't even have a Disney deal anymore.
Right. Maybe I
That's
just
what
had
I'm
it weird.
wondering because and I'm crossing my fingers. I know this is unrelated. And I don't even know if you two even know this movie, but Blood In, Blood Out. I haven't
I know.
checked yet, but it dropped on Hulu today.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna check and see how it looks because if it's in HD, then that means they finally rescanned it. Because the only
Yeah.
version that's been available is the shitty Laserdisc rip that's been on DVD for 30 years
Oh
or
man.
25 years or whatever.
Yeah,
And
I
if
know
that's
Blood
if
and
that's the
Blood.
case, that means maybe Kino, that's one of the titles they got their hands on. If the oh man, if they did, that'd be a big one. And I know you
Nice.
guys really don't know it that well, but
No, I know it. I've seen it.
oh, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, I know it. But no, I just got a hankering to watch this, and I could have sworn I've had it longer, but maybe I didn't because I've had the DVD for years, and then I finally upgraded to Blu-ray. Um, but no, it's a great movie. Like I said, she has to take the kids and the older boy's best friend who tagged along with them into the city to save her best friend, and they end up popping their tire, and crazy shit happens to them throughout the night, being chased by bad guys and all that. And it's just a fun movie. So
Poor Keith Coogan just couldn't catch a break.
right, he just couldn't. And
Anthony Rapp is in this movie?
he's the
Oh, wow.
friend.
Oh, he's the young friend. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought he
Jesus, I
turned
have
out
not
to be
seen
who
this
he
movie
is?
in so long, but I've seen it a dozen times millions
Me
of times as
too.
a kid. I mean, it was on
Yeah.
Showtime constantly.
But it said like when
Um,
growing up in the 80s, 90s, is you watch this probably a million times.
well, and it was not again, here's a movie that basically, I mean, this is like a girls movie, right? Like, I mean, really, it's a slumber
Mhm.
party movie, but boys can enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Because you got it's funny, it's fun. It's just a great film if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it plays to like when they
They
say they,
remade it. I haven't seen the remake, but yeah.
yeah, a Disney Channel remake, which I don't plan on watching that. I hate to see what they would have did instead of that don't F with the babysitter line. But no, you're right. It was essentially it's like a movie that you would say is made for a girl, but in reality, it's like all boys and girls can watch it. I mean, it gives you enough with like Elizabeth Shue is hot, especially the opening dance sequence with her. You can relate to Keith Coogan's character as the kid who, going into high school as a boy and wanting to, because he's in love. He's basically in love with her. He's a freshman in high school and she's a senior, and he wants to go out with her, but she just won't give him a time of day at all. So but that's why poor Keith Coogan. And
Oh,
then
that's right. This is also produced by Deborah Hill. I forgot about that.
Deborah Hill. Yep. Yeah, you'll have to watch it now, Tom. It's great. I hadn't seen it in like probably a good 15 years. I just enjoyed it when I was watching it. So it was a fun movie, and nobody gets out of here without singing the blues. It's a great movie. I got the
babysitting blues.
It's great. It was his directorial debut.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Because he wrote Gremlins and co-wrote Goonies, I believe. And yeah, so yeah. Then he went on after this, of course, to do Mrs. Doubtfire and Harry Pothead.
Yeah, Harry Potter, the first two. And then they kind of got rid of him.
I think he co-wrote Interspace as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he? With the for
so.
Dante?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. Back to the Future felt like it could coexist. And
that's one that you would probably actually like, and I can't believe I'm saying that because you hated Gremlins, but I think you'd actually like Interspace, Rook.
Yeah, Interspace is good, really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought that on not too long ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you just bring that one on?
Yeah. I get hankerings to watch those old '80s movies every once in a while. It's better than the shit we get nowadays. So, but no, I had a blast with it, and it was fun to see Vincent D'Onofrio as Thor again. I forgot how thin he was. It always gets me because like you see him as Thor and how thin he was, and then you also remember him from what's the war movie where he's a fat guy and they beat the shit out of him? Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, Full Metal Jacket.
It's a Heavy Metal Jacket.
This was only a couple of years before that too.
Yeah. So like he put on a lot of weight.
For only like a year before it.
Yeah. But it's a fun movie. It's really is a fun movie.
Because this is 87, and I think Full Metal Jacket was either 88 or 89. So
yeah.
Or was that 87 as well? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
God, I gotta look.
87.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, I knew it had to be because I remember when I saw it. Because I can't believe I saw that. My dad actually let me watch that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It first came out. Believe it or not. Couldn't believe it, but
Yeah.
87, yep.
And it's weird because they both came out in '87. And he looks like a completely different person in both movies. But that's what he did. Like he's a great actor in that sense. But no, yeah, it's a fun movie when they get in the city, and I love one of my favorite bits, which you wouldn't get away with in today's kids movies because they act like it's absolutely nothing that nobody has. This is like everybody has the latest issue of Playboy, and they all think the centerfold girl looks like the babysitter, and she's supposed to be an 18-year-old high school student, right? So everywhere she goes, people are looking at her, and dudes just happen to have a Playboy. It said, "Hey, that's you." So it's like nobody gave a shit.
I almost want to see the remake just to see how they tackle some of this shit.
I would say they probably left it all out. Yeah, as I was saying, like you're watching this. This is a kids' family movie. You know, it's PG-13, but there's Playboys. There are people to Playboys. There's high schoolers, going to a party, and you going like to a college party where they're drinking beer and making out with girls and stuff like that. And and they got a guy that's a gangster like guy chasing them and wants to kill them. He wants to kill these kids and the babysitter. So it's got like a nice little plot to it. That's it's enough in there for for girls, for boys, and for your parents. So it's legitimately is like a family movie. So you just gotta be careful with when you want your kids to hear curse words and stuff. So because there is this one scene with the big F bomb in it. But there you go. There's that. And so we'll go back to you, Tom, since you got two left, and then Rook, and then you, and then me, and then that way it'll be all over.
All right. Well, now if I'd actually had the original Oceans, this would have been a good one to go off of that one. Because since I recently got the remake, I watched the original, which I'd had for a while, of the Manchurian Candidate.
Oh, nice.
And of course, the original came out in 1962 with Frank Sinatra and Angela Lansbury and Janet Leigh and Lawrence Harvey. And of course, the remake came out in, when was it? 2004 with Denzel Washington, Meryl Streep, and Liev Schreiber. And of course, it was directed by Jonathan Demme, who directed Silence of the Lambs. And both films are good. I mean, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen the remake until now. Because I was watching it and I'm like, I thought I had seen this before, but maybe I didn't. Because I know I've seen the original one at least 3-4 times. Because it used to be a staple on Turner Classic Movies. And so I'd seen it. And because for some reason in my brain, I was like, I thought Angela Lansbury was in the remake too, but I guess she wasn't. But I thought she played a different role, but I was like, God, for some reason in my head canon, she was in the remake too. But no, in the remake, I mean, in Liev Schreiber, I can see why they cast him, of course, because he's almost like the exact. I mean, he sounds and acts and talks and walks almost like the original actor. And I don't mind all the changes that are in the remake. The remake, it actually plays with some things a little bit more, updates some things. Some things I'm not as much of a fan of. The ending is not horrible. I mean, it works pretty well with what the original is. So, and David says he's never seen the original. Oh, it's a good film. The originals are pretty good. I mean, if anything, the problem with the original is Frank Sinatra is probably the weakest link in the whole movie. He just kind of feels out of place for some reason. I don't know. I mean, he's all right as an actor and he's okay, but Denzel plays it. Denzel actually does a better job, and you could actually picture him as a former, military guy. So like, and I know Rook. I'm surprised you probably never heard of this if you haven't.
Oh, I bet he's never heard of it. I was gonna say I know. I bet he's never heard of it. I've never seen the original, so I can't.
Have you seen the remake?
I've seen bits and pieces of the remake, which I remember thinking it was pretty good from what I saw of it.
Well, and of course, it's been parodied and satirized and copied a million times over. But the basic story is, these guys who were in war together all start having the same dream, and they can't quite figure it out. And they do change some things up as far as where the characters are in their place, because in the remake, unlike the original one, the character that they are setting up let's say, in that respect, without giving too much away. He's just working his way up the political ranks. In the remake, they're setting him up for vice president.
Mm-hmm. I remember
And
that.
so like they kind of remove one character from the original, but it kind of works because then it kind of takes away some of the complications. Because that's the only thing with the original one that kind of gets a little lost in the mire of all these different characters, to where this one kind of streamlines that a little bit and gets rid of a character to kind of help. And it does kind of help the story to kind of move it along a little quicker and easier and make it a little more digestible, make a little bit more sense. But they don't miss any of the major beats really outside. Like I said, there are some changes, and I've never read the book, so I don't know the difference in the book, but basically like all these guys who were on a mission together they started having these dreams. And the one guy that was set up, he got the Congressional Medal of Honor, and they all say the same thing about him. And they all keep saying like, yeah, I remember it happening like we all say it did, but something tells me I'm lying, or something tells me that's not true.
Yeah.
And then they start to realize they're all telling the story the exact same way. They're all having the exact same dreams. And so they start to think that maybe they were kidnapped during this ambush instead of actually getting out like they thought they did. And were actually brainwashed in some way. And the new version actually goes even a little farther into that, with stuff like, and then, you see like the Neuralink thing and some of the other shit they put out there now, and it's like, oh, I've seen this movie. It's called The fucking Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
Like,
I do remember some of it, because
yeah. And I don't want to give too much away because it is one of those really cool political thrillers, what if kind of scenarios. And the original one really plays with the Cold War communist era. And that one's called The Manchurian Candidate because, of where the war was going on during the Korean War at the time. And the sequel, or the remake, they had to play with that a little bit, and it's kind of different, but I don't hate it. So yeah, I do recommend it, and both versions look pretty good.
Nice.
Because of course they're coming from Kino and scans of the negatives. So yeah, in both cases, the original black and white looks really good. Now, the one thing that's weird, I will say about the original. So there might be some purists who might get upset with this. So I'm not sure what happened here, because I looked it up and it said the original was in mono. And there is no mono track on here. The 2.0 track is like a weird stereo track. And it's one of those weird panning, kind of off the wall tracks. And I'm like, maybe they did a bigger release of this with a multi-track back in the day, because it was a pretty big movie when it came out, right? Like, it's not like it was some little film. So that's plausible, but I couldn't find any information that there ever was a stereo mix done for it. So I think the mix that's on here might be from a laser disc. Because they used to do that for VHS and Laserdisc back in the day when hi-fi became big and Laserdisc first came out and got bigger. So it's like this weird stereo mix that does a lot of panning, and it's one or the other is my guess, because it does not sound like any modern mix for sure. But it is stereo, and it's in this weird kind of like stereo field that makes me feel like it was some kind of processed mix down the road, probably. So unfortunately, it does not have the OG mix as far as I know, and I don't think this is from any other theatrical remix for a special presentation. My guess is that it's from home video remix from back in the day. But the 5.1 mix is actually really well done.
Well, that's
so in that respect, I mean, downside for those purists out there, but you can choose between those two poisons. And if you're somebody who had that version for years, you may want that version anyway. So,
what do you think of Lawrence Harvey in the original?
He's good, but I'd say this. I'd give Liev Schreiber the edge here, actually, because I didn't hate the changes they made, and I don't know necessarily if those changes weren't closer to the novel either, because I think this movie is actually billed as both a remake and a readaptation, in a sense that there are a couple things they must take from the movie that weren't in the book. So, but in that respect, like, I mean, it does have almost all the same beats, right? So, I mean, it does a really good job as far as remakes go. Like, this is how you should remake a movie. You just modernize it a little bit, update a few things, maybe twist a few things to have some fun with the audience, but don't change it up too much. Right. But so yeah, it doesn't have the super dark ending the original one did, though. So yeah.
Well, it was a newer movie, so. But no, I remember seeing the remake.
It does have a twist in the end, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing most of the part. Well, no, I can't say most of it, but like it was on TV, and I was like watching it, you know. So I remember some. I remember some of that, like you were going through with the new one, the remake. But I've never seen the original, so I've always wanted to. But I know I've seen like millions of TV shows, millions of other movies have ripped off, you know, the Manchurian Candidate with the implant in the head and everything, and what they're doing and all that.
Well, the original was just brainwashing, and the remake
that
was
too,
yeah, and that's what I thought, Joey. That's my guess. Is like a fake stereo or duophonic, kind of whatever you want to call it, spatialized stereo. I mean, it does have a separation to it, so I mean, it must have been done from somebody who had the multi-tracks, but it is just an odd mix. And it reminded me of the mixes they used to do, or they usually do when you get like the 3.0 or the 4.0 or whatever mix from an old 70 millimeter film from back in the day, where like people are panning all the time. And it's just weird. And then sometimes it makes absolutely no sense why they're panning. Like you're just like, it's just weird. They're just doing it just because they can. It's stereo.
Give me a pan shot now.
Well, no, like not only physically panning with the picture. I mean, with the sound. Like,
with the sound, yeah.
Yeah, like all of a sudden they're just sitting there, and then their voice will be like kind of between the center and the left channel. All of a sudden, their voice will just go all to the left channel. It's produced like a record used to be back in the day when they'd do the stereophonic records and play with shit. It's like, sometimes they do a pretty good job and they're just following the actors along on screen. They're just overdoing it a little bit. Like if somebody's like walking across, they're doing a lot of panning with the voice and everything. And sometimes you can tell they must have actually had a few stereo mics set up when they were doing it and how it sounds. So some of them are better than others, but yeah, they didn't quite. Dolby came in the 70s, and that was when stereo started to become a little bit more commonized. And that's kind of the version we have now for the basis of all stereo surround sound, is when you hit the 70s, basically.
Yeah.
Like stuff like Star Wars and all that shit.
Yeah. Brian, he actually answered that earlier. He liked Denzel better than Sinatra.
So. Yeah. Sinatra just kind of feels out of place, a little too old.
Yeah. Maybe for the time at that time, you know, he was.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like compared to the other actors that are in his crew, even though he's supposed to be like the captain or whatever, like he still feels like he's 20 or 30 years older than everybody else.
I was doing this when you was in diapers.
And just it's just not the like. If anything, it's more of a Jimmy Stewart type of role anyway.
Yeah,
or somebody that kind of feels like a Denzel. Like so, like Frankie just didn't. Frankie's too cool for school in this case. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
There's one thing in the remake I hated, but I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it because it's something that has to do with the end of the film. Let's just say it's kind of part of the happy ending and just how they get around something. And it's just like, that is dumb. But anyway, like
needs a little something else besides that.
Yeah, it's just... It's where technology wasn't quite there yet.
I get you.
How they try to cover something up just is kind of like, and they do. I will say one thing they do kind of actually do better too is the relationship between the main character and the love interest. It's played by Janet Leigh in the original. She makes more sense in the remake. Like they actually made her more of the plot. In the original one, she comes like off like a fucking moron, because like she meets Frank Sinatra, and then literally like the next time they see each other, she's like, "Yeah, I called it off with my fiance when I met you." It's like, bitch, you just met this guy. He's like 1 day. He's like 10, and not only that, when you met him, he was a sniveling mess. Like what the fuck? So in this version, she's just single, and she actually kind of knows him, so it makes more sense.
No,
because she actually it makes sense once you see the film. Like,
in
that respect, I give that one the edge too, in that it feels like they thought through things a little bit better.
Makes sense.
Anyway, I'm done talking about that.
Okay. I do need to watch the original and the new one. I do. I need to finished the remake, and I do want to watch the original. So I may have to get those to Kino here
Well,
eventually.
And I guess to answer why I think Denzel works and Frank doesn't, is Frank doesn't play paranoid believable.
Yeah, he's like Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, that's the problem. You need somebody who can play paranoid, and Denzel can play paranoid.
Yeah.
There's a few actors who are really good at it, and Denzel does it really well. He goes from, being that stalwart, person who's got everything figured out in the beginning to, I know there's a conspiracy here, god damn it, and nobody's listening to me by the end of the film, kind of thing, and you believe him. Unlike Frank Sinatra, where it's just kind of like,
it's like he was the epitome of cool at that time.
It just doesn't really kind of jive with it as much, I guess.
He's like, I'm Frank Sinatra,
I can't say much because I think it's his most famous role. So
yeah. Still would have been funny if he actually made.
And another thing is, you got Angela Lansbury acting circles around every fucking buddy in the movie,
of course. All right. Good picks. You got good picks tonight, Tom. I like them.
Well, I got one more, actually, or technically two more, but yeah.
Okay. Brooke.
This shouldn't be a surprise, though.
Okay. What do you got first, Brooke?
All right. This was the Accidental Shout Factory one. Another. This will be kind of a continuation of ones I've done before with Power Rangers. Now I bring on to you.
Oh God!
I've been hitting that nostalgia flavor lately. I pretty much got all the nostalgia out now. It's like the last of my nostalgia kick, a little, which is funny. So, do you guys ever watch Beetleborgs? Probably not. I would definitely
never watched
Beetleborgs at all. No. Funny enough, a large portion of the show takes place at a haunted house called Hillhurst, where they have a wolf character, a Dracula character, a Frankenstein character, and a mummy character as well. They call it like Frankenbeans, Wolfie, Count Fangula, and just mums or something. I forget what they call the actual mummy on there. It is a very bizarre show, especially based on, if you compare what the Japanese version of the show is compared to this, extremely different. They make the armor look kind of cool and stuff as whatnot, but the kid premise is very annoying, honestly. But when they go from the big bad Beetleborgs to Beetleborgs Metallics, I thought their transition to the seasons was pretty good. They have one of the premise in the show is they've got a character in it that draws the Beetleborg comics, and they have a character that can bring them to life. Essentially, he's got little powers for it. And but that guy's brother, the art guy's brother's name is Art, by the way. His brother Les Fortunes is an evil artist, and he brings out one of the bad guys brings out one of his creations that ends up duping all of them while also taking away their little powers, and then causing all this chaos and stuff. It's a fun little. That's like the only part that I think is well done. The rest is like, all right, how much cringe can we handle while we see what happens? As far as watchability, it has way less watchability than Power Rangers. Like, if you guys think that Power Rangers is corny or cringe, this is cornier and cringier with it, honestly. And there's no. The villains don't have henchmen like they do in Power Rangers, like that they fight. Since these characters are played by actual children, like they're just each time it's just kids. There's no like out of like out of armor fight scenes or anything, which does put that lower on the list, I would say. The only reason why I have any interest in it is because it makes me think of how you could make this really cool, but what they actually show isn't very cool. And even the fight scenes themselves, when they're in the armor, is pretty lame when you compare them to like Power Rangers and stuff. It's like, this is what you did. That's all. That's it. Like one of the sequences is literally like, okay, all right, they borged into their things. They're about to fight, and then they shoot it a few times, and it hits them a few times, and then they kill it. And I was like, oh, Most of the episodes are filled with the haunted house shenanigans of the other monsters, surprisingly. Which, if I feel like they could do that element pretty well if they focused on that in like the history of these monsters that they're trying to go off of, and they have other monster characters from horror history kind of stop by. They're like slight parodies of them anyway, and it's like I think they could have done some cool things with them, but they just do goofy antics and always want to eat the children and chase them around in like a sped up sequence, and it's just like that's. Man, you guys could have something here, and that would be the part that would intrigue at least Greg. I'm pretty sure if they did them well, if they like made it interesting, but they don't. It's really silly and goofy in a way that you'd be like, I can just watch the actual stuff.
I just watched Universal Monsters, man.
Yeah,
That's what I just watched.
But no, it disappoints me in that way because in the one that I just watched, like they have an old silent actress from like the old days that was in horror films or something. I don't know who the fuck she's based on or something, if they're basing it on a real person or not. And they're like, oh, the kids aren't scared of you. You're not scary. We need to make you modern scary and try to make her look scary. I was like, oh no. You could have done like a cool thing where you show how the silent horror was kind of done and why that's something that should still be kind of respected. This was a 90s kids show though. So I don't know how they would determine the interest in that, but I don't, my brain goes into how I would fix this show and how I would try to make it better. That's my investment in the show. The actual enjoyment isn't really there. It's one of those kind of things. Like Power Ranger, I'd recommend most Power Ranger seasons over Beetleborgs because they at least have good characters and good there's a lot more I can compliment for Power Ranger stuff compared to Beetleborgs. The armor looks kind of cool, and that was the main factor as a kid. Other than that, it's really thin.
Yeah.
But if anybody else that grew up with this stuff would agree with me or not, but it just I feel like it's an agreeable statement there. But
good night, Brian Barth. Thank you for hanging with us tonight. I think you're about the only one other than Style Section who has seen Battleborgs.
Beetleborgs, bro.
Whatever. I did whatever. It's just I never watched that, so I can't. I have nothing to say on it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Let's go to Tom. Tom, no, just kidding.
No, it's fine. I was trying to see if there's any comments in here. The punishment is for Manchurian candidate, isn't it? I have no idea. The power button on my range sounds more exciting. No, probably. They resurrect. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Cassandra Peterson is Elvira.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might have been somebody that's supposed to be like her, but I feel like they would have dressed her more dark. And it was specifically referring to silent film. I don't know if Elvira was in silent film or not. I don't know if she's referenced at all, honestly. But you think so. Know. The magic spell explains why person was recast. Wait, so okay, that's a good Joey pointed out, or sorry, Style Section. There's some things in the show that are like, okay, that's interesting compared to other things. Like he just said, they had the actress that played the Red Beetleborg at the time. She had to get off the show for some reason. I forget why, but they made it a reason within the show as to why she is different. When they recast her, they like a spell of some kind happen and change her appearance. And so instead of it just being, look, she's different now, like they made it like a plot element.
She's different now because of magic.
But yeah, but when magic is a huge part of the show and in the first place and whatnot, that makes enough sense. So instead of it just being, hey, randomly you're different, I give more credit to shows that put effort into explaining why something is different instead of just like, I don't know, throwing it in there or not doing it at all or something. So, well, like in Iron Man or like in the Avengers, for example, it's like, oh, you just have a completely different person at playing the same character. It's like, I don't know, just okay. Like part of me would be like, I don't know, what if it's something else? If you could come up with a better reason why it's why he looks different, obviously that'd be something. But yeah, okay.
All right.
Anyway. The next one. That's about it. I'm not expecting you guys to have anything to comment on it. I said my piece on it. To me, it's a dissection of a show that like I get inspiration from, not because it's good, but because it fails in so many ways, but when it has like one or two things that's noticeable, it's like, huh, wow, I'm surprised you did that at all. Okay. And then, yeah.
All
But yeah,
right.
that pretty much ends my. I've been on like half of my choices lately have either been obscure or nostalgic lately, and so that pretty much ends my nostalgic and obscure run. When you next see me with stuff, they will be all with real choices that everybody has really seen, and I'll probably Gremlins 2 will probably be the first one of that bunch.
I love this, Paul. I'm interested, but I love the fact that when I feel nostalgic, I watch things like Adventures in Babysitting or Inner Space. When you feel nostalgic, you watch Big Bad Beetle Bugs or whatever. So that tells you the different generations we grew up in.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So yeah, I have nothing to say on that. I know Tom has absolutely nothing to say on that whatsoever. Tom, I'm gonna go and then I'll make you the last pick if that's okay. That way it gives you time. But my last
Fine by
pick,
me.
okay, my last pick of the night is Strange Invaders. I almost said Space Invaders. Strange Invaders. I finally got this on Blu-ray. Finally, I've been wanting this on Blu-ray for a long time. So this is a great movie. This is a fun, like old school 80s sci-fi type movie that pays homage to the 50s. Love it. Stars Paul LaMatt, Nancy Allen. This is a really great movie. I've been wanting this on Blu-ray for a long time. It's been out of print, and I kind of wish I would have waited to get this Blu-ray because they haven't, I think from Australia, is releasing one. So I maybe should have waited to get that one because it's one of those from Imprint or somewhere. I can't remember. But anyways, I'm glad to have this one. Anyways, basically, Paul LaMatt is this guy. He lives in the city. He had this wife. They have a kid. Right. His wife comes from this town that is perpetually stuck in the 50s. You know, because everybody just disappeared out of this town. And so I can't. Nancy Allen is this reporter. And they end up back in that town and trying to investigate. Turns out the town is run by aliens. Replaced everybody with aliens, and that's sort of how it is. And it was just funny because it's a PG movie, but they have this really great scene where it's like really creepy. Like the person is looking in the mirror and just starts tearing off the skin. Just starts tearing off their skin, and it's got this great reveal of the alien underneath, and it's like really this like really creepy, terrifying scene for a movie that's not like really creepy or terrifying. It's very much like an old school like 50s sci-fi movie, and it's really fun. It does kind of have a freaky body horror, a little bit element to it. So yeah, this is a good one. This is a really good one. I loved it. But yeah. That's about all I'm really going to say about it. But I'm glad to finally have it on Blu-ray because I've had a DVD. I've had the midnight. What do you call them? Like the MGM midnight, whatever. Of this and Invaders from Mars for a long time, and I finally got Invaders from Mars, which I haven't brought on yet, and Strange Invaders on Blu-ray because I've been wanting to get them forever because they've been out of print and they're not the ones that I really want. The ones out of print with all the great special features, but I'll take these because I can afford them and I can watch them, and they're pretty much the same scan. So that's where I'll leave that at that. So I knew there wasn't much.
Yeah, I have I have that one, but I haven't watched it yet. So
yeah. You probably have the one that's out of print, the better Blu-ray version with
Twilight
the special
Time
features.
or whatever. Yeah,
the Twilight Time. Yeah. So, but it's really good. I mean, it's got this got this old school sci-fi feel to it. Of course, it does have a happy ending and everything, but it's got this old sci-fi and feel to it, which I really love the old like 50s nostalgia sci-fi type movies. So it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Random Brad, be up your alley. I know it would. If you haven't seen it, if you don't remember, give it a chance. Think you dig it. Knowing you, it's worth a watch. It's a good one. So, but yeah, there you guys have it. I mean, it's no big bad Beetleborgs, but we'll move on to we'll move on to your top for your final pick of the night. What do you got for us?
Well, as I promised, I did watch House Party last week, so I finally got
Nice.
House Party 2 and 3, and of course, I watched House Party 1 and 2 in HD on streaming, which so quality. House Party 3 is only available in standard definition. And it's weird because, as you see here, I actually got a brand new, still in the flipper, or still in the whatever you call it, flipper case.
The snap case.
House Party 2 snap case, yeah. But for some reason, even though the contents would be exactly the same as the US version, even New Line Cinema and all that is the logo on it, it's the Alliance Canadian cover.
Weird.
I mean, even the disc is like got all the Alliance Canadian version stuff on it, but the disc itself in the movie is the US version that would have been the same as the one I would have got anyway. But either way, you do get the full screen and the widescreen version and a 5.1 mix, just like with the first film. And again, they're open matte, so you do technically get more in the full screen version. So I did watch this one in the full screen version, because why not?
Yeah,
it's gonna look like shit anyway.
Yeah, so just go for it.
It kind of looked like shit. I'll be honest with you. It didn't look the greatest. It didn't look the worst, but yeah, no. And I actually I have a special place for House Party 2. I mean, I love House Party 1, and it is the better of all of the films. But
yeah,
House Party 2 is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I've always liked it. And House Party 3 is not horrible. Kind of reminds me a lot of American Wedding, the American Pie series. Has a lot of the same kind of vibe. Not quite as good as the first two, but Bernie Mac and some other things kind of make up for that. Of course, you're missing Martin Lawrence. That's probably one of the bigger.
Yeah, he's not in the last one. Yeah.
You know what's really cool? And one of the reasons why I love the trailer for House Party 2, and I couldn't remember why, and I know I'd seen it, a million times growing up in video, but it was also, there was another reason. Do you recognize these?
Those look very, very familiar. It's coming. What is it? Yes, Freddy's Dead. I was going to say the Freddy's Dead. Yes.
Okay, and they had two ads on the side. One was House Party 2 and one was Suburban Commando, and they showed those two trailers before the movie. So that's another reason why I remember it so well.
I was going to say them when I saw them. I wanted to say Freddy, but I wasn't quite sure because of the way the.
And there's actually a guy who has 2 boxes of those, who's selling it on eBay. So if you get your hands on them, if you can, they're like $5 a piece. He's selling them for. I think.
I'm gonna buy some.
Like he's selling them for like $6-7, and then if you buy 2 of them, I think they're like 10 or whatever. I'll try and send you the link. Just
yeah, definitely. I'm gonna buy some of those.
But yeah, so of course, like this is just one of those movies growing up. House Party 2 just always had kind of, for some reason, special place in my heart. It actually has a better soundtrack than the first film too, I would say.
Yeah, it's got a much more.
You got Queen Latifah in it and a few other new ones, along with all the original cast, minus, of course, because we sadly lost Robin Harris. But he's still, a major part of the film. And that's where Bernie Mac comes in the third film, because he's Robin Harris's brother and perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that would be his fucking brother.
Yeah. it's so perfect.
And Bernie Mac steals the third film.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like if you haven't seen them, check them out. Actually, I think they're all free right now on Tubi.
Might be, yeah. I know Max had them for a while. I saw somebody say, so I don't know if they're on there now. But
yeah, they were there, but I think they're on all 3 of them. I think are on Tubi right now for free as well.
Nice. I do like I like the pajama party that they're on part 2, and it does have a good story to it. Like, I like that it keeps them separate for a little bit, because like he goes, like, kids got to go to college because it's to honor his dad. This is what he was going to do, and then like plays at the record store and all that. So I like how they cut, and then it kind of comes.
Yeah, it does actually have more of a plot. You're right.
Yeah, it has more of a plot to it. And he got the check. He's got kids' check, and he was got to give it back to him and everything. So yeah, it's got much more of a plot.
Movie, which is basically they go to a party.
Yeah. This one actually has a plot.
Yeah, it actually has a plot to it. Yeah.
Yeah, where like they're both where they're at in their lives. Kids in college, the other one is working, and then it has to come together to where they have to bring everybody back together. And how they do that, they throw the pajama party. So I love how it leads.
It's also how they make the money too. Yeah.
Yes, and that's how they get the money back for him.
Hopefully, but then they trash. Well, I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
I want to shake my fucking hand.
Guys. I love that when it's like they had me thinking that these kids were actually high schoolers, and that them 3 guys look like they're 30 years old.
Yeah, I mean, kid, I could buy in the first film in high school. Play, no way.
Yeah, you get the mustache.
No way. Yeah, Tisha Campbell. Yeah, that other black chick. No,
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that because there's only the other chick in the movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, by the time, at least with the sequel, it feels more age appropriate.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they feel like they're finally playing
it
closer
came out
to
the
their
year
age.
after the first movie. That's the thing, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and House Party and House Party 2 both came out in the same years,
Nice.
1990 and 1991 respectively.
Yeah, I mean, I love this. Like, New Line had some great movies
Oh
back in
god,
the
yeah,
day.
they were kicking ass.
I mean, like the Turtles, and then that, and the Freddy, and I like that's the shit I grew up on.
They were getting to the point where they really didn't even need to make Freddy movies anymore. That was
Right.
just it. Like between House Party, those kind of movies. I mean, that was what paved the way to Friday, for instance, and you know, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Which is funny because when I was watching Friday, which I brought on, I watched the special features. The Friday was all brought about because of House Party.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because like Ice Cube was like, they used to watch the House Party movies, and is like, you know what?
We can do that.
We
Yeah.
can do that. We'll just make it like how we do it, you know, because they were a little. It's because it's a little more grown up, a little more in the hood and stuff. But he's like, that's really what it came about, because they loved the House Party movies, and they decided they was going to write their own House Party type movie, which is great. I mean, that's great, influential, because they're all good movies. But yeah, I gotta find those Freddy glasses though, because I remember those. I remember.
I'll send you the link. I just remind me.
I will.
But yeah, no, I had fun. They still hold up. Still a lot of fun. Sadly, they don't make movies like this anymore. If you've seen the remake or even know what the remake is, it's a fucking joke.
I just saw the trailer and I was like, nope.
Yeah, that one's also free on Tubi if you want to try it.
If you want to check it out.
Yeah, no, I can't with that.
Yeah. Did you watch it? Did you watch the remake?
No, and I heard the Kid and Play are even in it in a cameo, but there's supposed to be a bunch of celebrity cameos in it, so
wow.
They probably play themselves anyway, I'd assume. I have no idea.
That's what I figured.
I mean, in a way, the plot is like, it's not even the same story as the original, so it might as well just be its own fucking thing. Like, they should have called it like LeBron's House Party or something, like anything but House Party, because it isn't even in like even that one House Party 4 movie. Because I'm surprised you didn't bring those on, because I thought you said you were going to.
Yeah, I was going to, but I never watched the third one yet. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, that one at least has like almost a similar-ish plot. It's basically House Party meets Ferris Bueller. Like, so in that respect, it's like, okay, at least it kind of falls in the same kind of category, even though it's not the same characters. You know, if now we're using House Party like a National Lampoon's kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, even though that movie wasn't meant to be a house party movie, it just has happened to be surrounding a house party. So yeah, and I think that's the same thing with that other house party movie we talked about last.
Yeah, like the fifth one or whatever it was. But no, I meant to bring those on. I meant to finish them off, because I did watch the first two, and I meant to watch the third one, but I haven't got to it yet. Honestly, I forgot after you brought it on last week. I was going to, and then I forgot. No, but like I said, that's what always gets me. It's like you never had movies like this, and it's like yes, we did, and us white kids liked them too.
Well, you know what's funny? What got me, and I think I brought this up last week, was maybe even think about these movies again. Even though I think about them a lot. I mean, I like House Party.
Yeah,
it's a movie I do actually bring up quite often. But what made me think about it again was Molly Ringwald saying that stupid shit she said about, we couldn't make movies like fucking Breakfast Club or 16 Candles or Pretty in Pink anymore. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? House Party is pretty much the black version of 16 Candles.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It is. It's like these movies are often overlooked for some narrative, for some white actress or something, you know. It's just like,
and that's what makes you couldn't make Breakfast Club, but you couldn't make it the way you're talking. Like, you can't diversify it now, not the way you're talking. Yes, you could maybe add a little bit, you know, of diversity to it, but the whole point of that movie is these are the whitest bread of white bread kids, right? Like, that's the whole fucking point. They're not the type of kids outside of the two outcasts normally would even be there.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole fucking point.
Exactly.
And the other side of it is the clash of the different types of and you can do that with any set of kids. It's just that version of it just happens to be set in that Anglo-Saxon upper class white Illinois setting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Should there probably be some more black people there, or at least a black person? Maybe. Did there need to be? No. Why? Because all it would do is just be about them being black.
Yeah.
And these other kids are white, and how this guy has to do all these things to act white.
And that too is like also with their logic is why would the black kid be in detention?
Yes,
right?
You have all these
he shouldn't have gotten in trouble.
And Risky Business is another great example of this kind of movie. Exactly, Joey. Like that's another one that kind of reminds me of. And I mean, you know the best part about these movies, and I'm watching them, they don't hit you over the fucking head with the message bullshit.
Right.
They acknowledge, but they move on.
Yeah. Because like when I was watching the second one, they acknowledged a little bit of like, you know, black kids going to college and all that.
Yeah.
And what they get into in college, like, because like sort of like the journey
it actually
is,
has an anti, it's actually a little bit of an anti-affirmative action speech.
Exactly, because it kind of like it gets into that scene where like with the Queen Latifah and what's her name, Tisha Campbell, and then how like kind of led into like the black thing.
Well, I was talking about
the
teacher scene, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, but also like that, like they kind of like lead into the whole like black thing and all that, you know, in college and like how that. But you're right with the teacher thing too, and then it kind of comes back around to like we're just people. You know,
that's the whole thing the teacher is saying is like now because of affirmative action, you have to prove you are that good, not just because you're there because you're black. Right? Exactly. I'm like, oh, balls. Kids should watch this movie now.
Exactly. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. With the teacher.
Because it wasn't even about kid going, oh, I can't go to college. Oh, I can't go. Yes, you have to have the money. That's the whole point of it. But at no point is he's not saying, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I'm all these things. Oh, the fucking hood kept me down. All this other bullshit. No, he's not acting like a fucking victim through the whole movie, and neither is everybody else. Same thing about the first movie, right? You have those weird racist cops because it's weird how they act, right? It's like it's kind of racist, but it's only racist because they're trying not to act racist. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Right. And there's the one main scene. There's a couple of scenes that it leads up to with, you know, but it's not like hovering over the fucking film like this is Menace to Society or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's not like this thing that's made up through the whole movie. It's just like a couple of bits here and there. Otherwise, it's just some regular kids. Doesn't matter that they're black having a house party and their parents are not supposed to find out. That's the plot. It doesn't fucking matter other than that. Right. And in some ways, the cops are just treating them that way because they're teenagers to a point. Right. But
until with the last three.
Yeah, well, and even that, it's kind of like you're still kind of cheering that on because you're like, okay, now this is kind of just desserts for both parties in a weird way.
Exactly.
Because they're trying this whole movie to pull, like, you know, because when they have him on the ground, they're like, okay, repeat after me. I am somebody, you know, and all that stupid shit.
And like even in the first movie, when Kid and Play go to that one house with the rich people, it's a rich black family. You know, it's like it's everybody's represented just fine in it with no problems. And
both Play and Kid are actually middle class to upper class. Like Play is actually more upper class.
Yeah.
And the only reason Kid is in the middle class is because he lost his mom, and I'm sure that they'd be better off had she not died. But that being said, they don't paint them like they're plight, you know, like they're, you know, because even Robin Harris says it. You know, the only reason you're bothering me is because I'm a black man in a black neighborhood. He doesn't say a poor neighborhood or the hood. And the only time we see the projects is where that one girl's from, Tisha Campbell's friend.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like they dwell on this shit. And there's not guns. There's no gang banging in the movie.
Yep. None of that.
Right. So, I mean, it's a good-hearted, feel-good film. Same thing with the sequels. They don't dive into any of the huge stereotypes, which is great too. So like you can hold them up and say, look, these are a good example of movies that are just movies, right?
Yes.
You can tell the same stories and it doesn't matter if they're Hispanic, white, whatever. You could tell these same stories. And that's what we've been talking about for years. They used to do this all the time in Hollywood. And it wasn't that they were making it for a black audience. They did make it knowing that the black audience would show up. But guess what? White people watched it too. Hispanic people watched it too. Like it wasn't just made for one audience. Other people enjoyed them.
So they said like us white suburban white kids, we loved that movie. We enjoyed that movie because it was just a fun and enjoyable
When I
movie.
related to it because I DJ'd and all that shit when I was a
Yeah.
kid. So like, yeah, I loved that.
I
Like,
could relate it to because like much like kid who was smart, I was smart. You know, I was like that nerdy guy that, you know, I didn't have the cool
on that
friend,
too.
but I didn't have the cool friend, but I related to like, oh, I'm smart like him, you know. So that's how I sort of related to him. Plus, you know, like I said, we've had trouble with our family. We was poor and everything, so I could
Yeah,
connect
Ron's
it
right
with it.
too. There was. That's actually something that's
Yeah,
really.
that is in the movie too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Especially at that time, because that was even during the AIDS crisis as well. But no, the whole point is made. And they even have that scene where Robin Harris says, you're gonna fuck around and end up in the same position I do, and then he realizes what he just said. So there's a lot of great moments and stuff in these movies that like
yeah,
they get made fun of more than they should. Like
yeah,
I think they're a little bit more important than people treat them. And Friday is another one that belongs there too.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, they're not as serious as Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society. But what they do show is that not all black entertainment or movies made by black people with black people in them were hood movies, right? Like that's the
yeah,
point. There was other entertainment besides that, and this whole idea that Hollywood didn't make these kind of movies is bullshit.
yeah. I agree with you, and I think like the stigma with them, the way they get mistreated, it was came along in the mid '90s when it was like the hardcore gangster rap, and there's like this is how it's supposed to be, and so like these movies kind of got made fun of, and yeah, it just I do think they deserve a little more respect, and I think I really wish Warner Brothers would put them out on Blu-ray, give us some good transfers of them and stuff.
They deserve 4Ks because actually all
big
three of these
time.
movies made bank.
Mhm.
That's the other thing. I can't believe they didn't make a House Party 4. Because I
Yeah.
was looking it up because I thought House Party 3 flopped. I was wrong. House Party 3 made the same amount of money as House Party 2.
Dang.
The exact same amount of money. And the first movie cost $5 million and made $25 million in the US. The second one I think cost a little bit more. I didn't see the budget on that one, but that one made 19 and the third one made 19. And I'm willing to bet that both of them weren't made for any more than like $10 million. So that being said, all of the films were technically, and they were big hits on video, right? So like, I mean, you can't tell me they didn't make money. I don't understand why Warner Brothers is just ignoring these movies.
I don't get it.
Of course, it's the same company that hasn't put Nightmare on Elm Street out yet, so go fucking figure. Other than a crappy Blu-ray box set, yeah.
And then there's talks about even releasing the new one, the remake on 4K before the original. It's like, oh god,
which is stupid because that's just going to be an up convert anyway.
Yeah, because of the digitalness and everything. Oh, I remember that one. Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Well, and there's been a 4K edition of the first film for a while, and that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, that's the New Line movies need to be treated better. I really think they need to be treated better. It's kind of like
we've only gotten what? Trying to think. The Lord of the Rings and Blade from New Line Cinema in 4K. I think that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. If there's another New Line Cinema title I'm missing that actually has gotten a 4K upgrade.
I think
that's pretty sad. Yeah, because Ninja Turtles is one of their highest grossing movies besides Lord of the Rings. What the fuck?
Yeah. The Freddy's built New Line Cinema.
The Freddy films, that's like a no-brainer there. Like, I don't understand that.
The House Party Friday, which is New Line Cinema.
Supposed to be, that's one that we've heard about for a while now. But I haven't seen it come to fruition, so we'll see. But
it almost reminds me of like Disney with the Fox titles. Yep. Like once Warner fully engulfed New Line Cinema, there's like, we don't need to put the New Line Cinemas out other than Lord of the Rings because that made us money.
Actually, Ron, that's Shout Factory that's putting out Who's That Girl?
And that reminds me, Shout Factory also put out My Demon. My Demon Lover was Blu-ray from New Line Cinema. The Shout Factory.
Is that one of their exclusives?
No, that's one of their normal movies.
Because I was gonna wait to see some of those other ones they announced because I wanted to get Who's That Girl and that one you just mentioned and some of the other ones, but I was just gonna get them from Diabolic DVD.
Yeah, I think you should be able to get it. You should be able to get that on there if it's on there. I did notice. Speaking of which, on, was it Orbit DVD? Orbit DVD has a lot of those exclusives on Shout Factory exclusives on their thing that you can buy, the Piranha movie, the Roger Corman stripper movies, and a couple other ones that were exclusives.
Who has what now?
OrbitDVD.com.
Oh, Orbit, yeah, I like them too.
Yeah, they have this.
I gotta remember to check in with them more often. And
Yeah.
Deep Discount's another one I check on a lot too. I forget to tell you guys about because they generally have stuff stocked that's out of print or out of stock or whatever.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah.
I typically go through Amazon, Diabolic, and Orbit. That's like my 3 online stores I go through.
Yeah, I remember you turning me on to Orbit.
Yeah. Because I was like, whenever I get the money, it's like, I'll go on to a Diabolic.
And I love Diabolic because they're far away and they still get their shit out pretty fast.
They do.
I've only had like one issue with them once. And that was it.
That's why I order from them.
And it's not even worth getting into. Like it was just kind of they could have done a little bit better on it, but I'm not going to bitch.
Yeah.
It was just whatever.
Yeah. And then they also got that new flat rate shipping price because they got a good deal.
My only other complaint is if I'm ordering a bunch of shit, they should do like free shipping, but considering they're supposed, I think they're kind of like they're kind of like a mom and pop kind of organization. I'm not going to bitch too much.
Yeah. Yeah. But
they keep their prices pretty reasonable.
Pretty good. Yep. That's why I go through. I just go for the Amazon, Diabolic, and Orbit DVD, which I was going through Orbit DVD the other day, and they had some of the Shout exclusive titles.
Oh yeah, they already got Who's That Girl on Diabolic. There we go.
There you go. My Demon Lover looks pretty good. It's not too bad of a scan, but it looks good. I liked it, and it's got some decent special features. So
I think that's an exclusive because I'm not finding that one anywhere.
I don't think so because I got mine from Amazon.
Oh, did you? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
I should get that one then too.
Or did I order it directly from Shout? I don't remember.
That's what I'm wondering because I don't see it here on Diabolic. I've been waiting for it to pop up on here.
I might have ordered directly from Shout on that one
because they do get exclusives once in a while, but they don't get the big box sets. That's the only thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm still waiting for one of their exclusives, the Unlawful Entry or whatever.
Oh yeah, with is that Kurt Russell was in it? No, was it Kurt Russell with that one?
Is it Kurt Russell and Ray Liotta?
Ray Liotta, that's who it is. Ray Liotta. I think maybe it's Kurt Russell too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might be in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I used to watch it on HBO I've seen it a couple times. I remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I think we knocked it out of the park.
There we go. In less than 3 hours. I mean, we did. It was no Big Bad Beetleborgs, but I like the house party. I like the house party movies. I really do. I was wanting to watch the third one. I never got to. But appreciate you guys. Thank you guys out there in the chat hanging with us. Everybody at home watching with us. Rook and Tom, I appreciate you guys. Thank you as always. It may be just me next week. It might just be me next week. We'll see how that goes. We'll see what I decide and who I bring along. But as always, I got to find the clip. Where's I put a clip? Okay. But as always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.